the pick, and Gilmore comes up with it.
The Patriots Pregame Show is the world's largest virtual tailgate, featuring fans of the 6-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots.
Brady under center, gives to Michelle, runs it left, a dive to the end zone. Touchdown Patriots. Michelle for 6.
That's the offense I know. That's the offense we love.
Hardy, Paul Perillo, and Mike Dussault are here to do the grilling as your hosts. This week, the Patriots are home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
James White cuts it under the right arm, cuts it upfield, driving forward, diving to the goal line. A touchdown and a title for the Patriots.
I can't believe it.
Hardy, Paul Perillo, and Mike Dussault are here to get you ready for the game.
It's football time, fellas. Let's get into it.
Now, live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show presented by Dunkin.
Gentlemen, let's begin. The Patriots pregame show fueled by Dunkin, Hardy, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo. I don't think this game has gotten enough attention this week, so we are going to give it everything it deserves by extending our pregame show by 30 minutes today, 2.5 hours of coverage. Because, again, I can't believe no one's talking about this game. You would think.
And you know what part of it I think in particular that's been surprising is that I would have thought, coming in, that when Brady was coming back, like the dynamic between Brady leaving and the credit over who was more important between Belichick and Brady.
That's an interesting question.
Would have gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, well, we'll find out tonight.
Wait a sec. What you're saying, like all the wins that the Patriots had, was it more Brady than Belichick or vice versa or a combination of the two?
Who knows?
That's an interesting notion.
Yeah, didn't you think that would get a lot more attention than I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it. Sometimes I miss things.
It is funny the way the national media has, we take all this for granted. We've been talking about it for decades, right? But when the Today Show starts saying, a lot of people say, was it really the coach, Bill Belichick, was it Tom Brady?
Now you're coming in.
I guess we better send Al Roker there on Saturday.
No, Lester Holt.
Lester Holt.
No Savannah Guthrie? What's going on? We didn't get the A squad?
I don't know. Lester's pretty
Lester
A.
Holt. That's NBC Nightly News.
He was.
Yeah.
I was talking to Aaron at baseball this weekend, and he said he's got a whole security detail. Aaron thought these two big guys were following him, and Aaron's like, I started to get a little worried. I looked back. There's two big guys following us, and Lester's like, no, that's my security detail.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Paul Perillo
news needs a security detail.
Okay, but that aside, for a guy who doesn't like anybody, I'm going to say that Paul Perillo probably doesn't mind Lester Holt.
I have no problem with Lester Holt, and I don't have a problem with most people other than you.
All right. Moving on.
But I mean, Lester Holt seems like a fine fellow.
He does. There is a lot that we're going to do on the show today. Paul Perillo has a little chin wag with Rodney Harrison that we're going to get to see and hear on our pregame show. Joey Knight from the Tampa Bay Times is going to join us when we go behind enemy lines.
Not to be confused with Jordan or Jonathan Knight.
New
Kids in the Block.
Or Joey McIntyre.
Not that I'm unexcited to meet with Joey Knight.
His name's not McIntyre.
Here at 6
But
p.m.
it's Joey.
Well, I thought maybe it was going to be one of those other nights, and it turns out it's not. But
okay.
So he'll be joining us. We'll do our over-unders. We'll do our what are we going to do? Like a 4-pack or something? Like a 2-pack?
2-pack.
Yeah, I guess only 2.
Shakur.
We'll do we'll do the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. That's right, because there's only 2 games left. By the time the show gets over, just have the 2. Just have the 2.
We just have the 2.
All right, so lots to get to. Let's start, though, as we start every Patriots pregame show with the keys to the game. Why did you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Without these keys, the Patriots are destined and doomed to fail.
Here are Hardy, Paul, and Mike's keys to the game.
Why did I steal your key to the game also?
You have the key. You have the right one.
Left something very important off the itinerary or agenda for the show, and that is Tamara Brown is going to be in the parking lot out there with all the tailgaters. And she's going to be checking in with us periodically throughout the show, too. We'll have the live look-ins for the warm-ups when Brady takes the field. Everything. It's.
Well, you did mention that this is a big game.
Yeah, cast of thousands.
It's all happening, sweetheart. It's all happening tonight.
It's a big event.
Everything we've been talking about since the schedule came out, it's happening. The game is tonight. The game kicks off in less than 3 hours.
Tonight.
So this is it. Keys to the game. I don't know how much game talk we're going to do. I have penciled in some actual football talk here for the pregame show, if that's okay with everybody. But keys to the game, I think, all follow a certain theme. We do not discuss our keys to the game with each other. We are asked independently. They are sealed in an envelope delivered via courier to Gillette Stadium. Matt Morrell opens the envelopes and then puts them up on the screen. Now, I see them now, but I think there is a theme here. Mike, we'll start with your key to the game for the Patriots tonight.
Great. Well, I think that most people are probably picking the Bucs, and so my key is play loose, play fast, and just go out there and kind of let it all hang out. You know, I don't want to say that in a way because I don't think the Patriots have been particularly disciplined, and so I don't want it to get into that territory where you're playing fast and loose and, you know, hurting yourself with penalties. But I think this is a game, week 4. We know all the hype that's gone into it this week, what people are picking, what people think are going to happen, and I just like to see this Patriots team go out there, play your game. Just don't get lost in the moment of what's going on out there. Just go out, play with a sense of urgency, play with aggressive. I go back, I talked a little bit about during the week. Always liked what the Eagles did against the Patriots in Super Bowl 52 with that kind of go for it on 4th down, be aggressive, sneak plays, trick plays, all that stuff. I just throw the kitchen sink at the Bucs. They're a very good team. I think you're going to need some breaks, and I think you're just going to have to go for it. And if you play tight, if you play reserved, I think that's a formula for the game ending up as a lot of people think that it might with Tampa winning by a couple scores. So let's just go out there, play loose, play fast, see what happens.
All right, Deuce. Paul, what is your key to the game?
I mean, I think that we can break down X's and O's all night, but I think it comes down to you do not have the edge in most matchups. So I think you got to find a way to get some points elsewhere, some bonus points. I think your special teams have to be better. Maybe if you can convert a turnover into points, that you have to find a way to manufacture points in unconventional ways. To me, I don't know if you can just ask Mac Jones to go out there and go drive for drive with Tom Brady, and unless there's some help. And I think maybe you get a punt return. Maybe you get some kind of special teams gaff by the Buccaneers that leads to points for you. But I think it's imperative. You gotta find a way to get from, say, the high teens, low 20s up closer to the high 20s into the 30s to win.
And I don't want this to be the case, and I'm not saying that I'm, willing to say something that you guys aren't, but what we're all essentially saying is all of our keys aren't about winning the game. They're really more about my key, which is, it's kind of harsh, but it's just don't get embarrassed.
Well, mine's about winning the game. I mean, I think that's the only way you can win the game.
Do you think they can win the game?
I think they'll need stuff like that to do it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's fair. And of course they can. Of course they can win the game.
And we were talking, off air. It's the NFL. It's not college. It's not a homecoming game. It's not Alabama against some 1AA team that has no shot. The talent level, I would agree, is on Tampa's side. But it's not so overwhelming that the Patriots can't compete in this game.
Yeah, and certainly
it's an NFL game.
And certainly with some of the injuries that they've had, and we all know by now that Gronk isn't playing, that Jason Pierre-Paul isn't playing, Giovanni Bernard isn't playing. So you're not exactly getting.
And they're starting 2 cornerbacks on.
And they're
playing.
starting
Sean
2 cornerbacks.
Bunting and Jamel Dean.
So you've signed Richard Sherman this week, who hasn't played since the end of 2020.
And by some accounts is starting tonight.
Right. So and wasn't expecting to start when he signed originally. So there are some. You're not seeing the absolute full power Death Star Tampa Bay Bucs. They've got some injuries that could affect them a little bit, and I think that could make the game a little bit more interesting.
Well, and when I say don't get embarrassed, I mean the way you truly lose this game is if you allow Tom Brady to go out there and carve you up for 50-yard receptions to Antonio Brown. You're going to lose the game if you try and get into a shootout. Now, we can get into the X's and O's aspect of that, but if that is daring this team to run against you, I don't love the idea of the Patriots, hinging a win or a loss on their run defense. But you've got a better chance than you do than if you say, go ahead, Tom, I dare you to throw it. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
Let's also not put Mac Jones in a position where he has to start chucking it downfield. Let's keep this game within reach. Don't get embarrassed on either side of the ball. And if some of those bonus points come your way, like Paul was talking about, and if you are playing fast and playing a little bit loose, like you talked about, Deuce, then yeah, a win stays within reach. But if you allow Tom Brady to have his way with you, and go out here, what I'm sure he is feeling compelled to do, and he's feeling motivated to do, then this game is going to get out of hand early, and that's when it starts to get a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, and then that's certainly scary. And these Bucs are great, and they've done that to plenty of teams over the last couple of years. But I almost think what I'm a little bit more like nervous about is that it's close, and we all know what Brady is in the fourth quarter and how good he is and how much of a full 60 minutes it takes. And even if you've got a lead with 5 minutes left in the game, it doesn't matter. So I think those are two different kind of games that you might have to be prepared to play. Closing it out, 60 minutes, being aggressive, taking some chances maybe. I thought some of the oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you can finish what you're saying.
Sorry, forget that. Sorry, I just heard it in my thing. I thought you were talking to me. But anyway, I think that there's a couple different ways. There's a couple different ways that it could unfold, and both times you're gonna have to deal with Tom Brady, and we know what that entails. Whether it's he's out hot early or it's late, he comes to life in the fourth quarter.
I heard a voice in my head. Stop talking. No,
I'm nervous. It's a big game.
Well, I do want to hear from Tamara Brown though. She is at the Patriots Hall. Where there's
Was she inducted into the Hall of Fame already? She's only been here for
a red jacket.
That's very impressive.
She will be, but
that's very impressive.
Right now,
Good job. Congrats, Tamara.
I believe she is just talking to people who are at the Hall of Fame right now. So we're going to
go over more sense.
Go out to Tamara Brown right now. Is it true, Tamara? Is that where you are at the Hall right now?
Yes, Hardy. I'm at the Patriots Hall of Fame here at Patriots Place, and I'm here with Chase, Cameron, and Marcus, who are super excited about this Sunday night football game. And it looks like they're a house divided. I mean, look at this. Bucks jerseys, Patriots gear. Who are you rooting for tonight?
I definitely got to go with Tom Brady and the Bucks tonight. I feel like they're going to get on top and win.
All right, so he's going with the Bucks to win this tonight. Dad, who do you have winning tonight?
Not happening. Patriots all the way. The student against the coach. The coach is going to show him something different tonight. Brady's great. He's the GOAT. But, hey, let's go Patriots.
What about you, little guy? Who are you rooting for?
Patriots, because Belichick and Tom Brady are two GOATs. I'm going to go for the Patriots.
I love it. I love it. All right, you heard it from them. Battle of the GOATs tonight on Sunday Night Football. Hardy, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Tamara. That's awesome. You know,
2 out of 3.
I love to see the dynamic with the family there. Which the oldest son is like, okay, he's rebelling. He's the first. The younger one is like, I'm with my dad. I'm finally going to get back at my older brother. He and I are going to team up against you.
You might see that older son walking by the side of the car out of Foxborough.
So you mean TJ won't always be on my side? You're telling me that's going to probably go away too at some point.
We'll lose the younger one. That's tough.
Every family is different. You have the 2 boys. Yeah. My oldest is my daughter, and she, unfortunately for my wife, is very much like me, and.
Smart ass.
A total smart ass, and
music snob.
Bad loser, even worse winner. Stuff like that. A bit of a snob about some things. So
loves blueberry.
So we get along great, the 2 of us. My son and my wife, they can't take it. But the number of Brady jerseys in Tampa Bay colors tonight, I think, is going to be startling. We see it around town. I see it at Dick's Sporting Goods in Dedham. They've got as many Brady Bucks jerseys up there as they do anything else.
Sell that merch.
It is a real thing, and you're going to see that thing tonight. It's part of this whole week that we've been talking about here, and Tamara just talked to somebody out in the parking lot there wearing the Brady Bucks jersey. I mean, out of all the things that have happened this week and that we've talked about and heard about, what has surprised you in terms of the run-up to this game? And there's a lot to choose from. I mean, there can be the Wickersham details or Tom Sr. speaking out or Alex Guerrero. Is there anything that's really kind of like jumped out at you and like, wow, I did not think that was going to be part of the conversation?
That's a really good question. And I mean, I don't really, nothing's coming to mind of being surprised because I thought this is what it would be. It would be a week straight of hammering. Why did it end? Why isn't he still here? And I think personally I've tried to take a little bit of a let's appreciate what happened here and realize that this is going to be probably the last time Tom Brady plays here. And, remembering the last time he played here, which was against the Titans, and the last play that he made here was a pick 6 to Logan Ryan. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but I'm trying to look at the positive side of it. But I wasn't all that surprised of course, it was just an avalanche with the book and Alex Guerrero coming out and everything that kind of happened. It kind of played out like I thought it would, and I wasn't all that surprised with where we're at right now. Sorry not to be surprised.
No, I would agree. I don't really think there's been a whole lot out of the ordinary so far. I was a little surprised just in terms of the whole circus. I was a little surprised the prior week that Brady's camp was a little offensive. Brady Sr., Alex Guerrero that week. But
and you do have to go back to 2 weeks ago, which we did a good job
last week
of
I thought it was
avoiding.
the Mutual Admiration Society.
Yeah. And I thought, I liked what both, Bill had to say. I liked what Tom had to say. I liked Tom's videos.
I'd have liked it a lot better if I thought either one of them was telling the truth.
Well, you know what, though? I got to say, that now that you bring it up, Deuce, I think the most surprising thing was how Bill was this week and how I think matter-of-fact he was in answering some of the questions about Brady. It's like, he's great. He's the greatest player ever. I mean, I don't know the exact words, but he pretty much alluded to the fact that he was great. Nothing happens here without him here, the way it did, and he was a pleasure to coach, and he said pretty much everything. I thought he would be a little bit, if not dismissive, at least not as praiseful as he was of Brady and the person and the situation. I thought he would have kept it more to the team stuff. Well, what Tom did before doesn't matter. It's all about this week, and they're playing great. And we got our work cut out for it. He didn't shy away from talking about the past and talking about everything that Brady meant, and that did surprise me a little bit. I mean, I don't know how you avoid it if you're going to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that what happened this week is what I was expecting.
By the way,
what happened
can someone tell
2 weeks?
Al Michaels to keep it down out there?
Yeah.
I hear Al Michaels' voice.
I mean, I
on
know
the other side of the
I know
building.
he was, broadcaster for the Miracle on Ice and everything. One of the most iconic calls in the history of sports. But
we're trying to do a
really,
show here.
Really, no big whoop. I'm doing the Patriots pregame social right here. I mean, a little common professional
respect,
a little professional courtesy.
Do you believe in courtesy? No.
Exactly. Exactly. Can I give you a quick? I know
Matt was ready to go out there and tell him to shut up.
Stick our Marine on you.
It's Al Michaels. He can kind of do whatever he wants.
So I'm a veteran.
All right. Sorry.
I know we're 24/7 here on the, the Brady Belichick drama, but Red Zone Paul will chime in for the first time. Jimmy Garoppolo out with a calf injury and Trey Lance in San Francisco. So
might that be it?
If you had week 4 for the Jimmy G injury, you win.
All right, well, let's get to some of the other stuff that did happen this week and things pertaining to the game. And this was a surprise to me, Rob Gronkowski's availability. So, Paul, you were one of the first people that picked up on this early on in the week, and it was a reporter from Tampa that you quote tweeted and said, looks like Gronk is questionable or not going to be playing on Sunday, which I thought he was playing possum. I'm like, he's just not practicing. He's taking an early Veterans Day this week, and he'll be back up and running, but not the case.
Yeah, I thought that once he had to leave the game and then came back in, and then he's immediately not practicing, I figured they went and did some more tests and saw some damage. And I don't know the extent of the damage. I saw the reports today about broken ribs and perhaps a punctured lung. But I just felt like if he wasn't back on the practice field, that was a bad sign for Gronk, and I didn't think that was a good indication that he'd be able to play.
What was that?
I don't know what the...
It sounded like a steak.
So evidently the Steelers just lost a blocked field goal return for a touchdown on a bogus offside call. The Steelers got called for being offside, and evidently they weren't, according to many on the Twitter machine. I saw the play. I did not see the penalty.
All right.
But I'm just continuing with my red zone.
Yeah, that's okay. There's kind of a big game here tonight. You may have to put a leash on the red zone a little bit today.
Here's the thing. There's a humongous event going on here tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure it's a big game.
Well, that is another question that we will save for a little bit later on.
It very well could be the biggest event in NFL regular season history.
Okay. All right. Well,
I don't even think that's hyperbole.
You know what? Let's jump ahead just for a second. There's no easy way to phrase this, so I'm just going to ask the question. Tonight is a big event here at Gillette Stadium with the New England Patriots. When will be, you have to predict, the next big event, which almost certainly has to be a game for the New England Patriots after tonight? When will it be?
I'm going to let Deuce answer that.
If you're a positive person, you might say playoffs this year.
Okay.
End of the season.
So you're
a positive person, maybe next year.
Okay.
That might be more realistic. Playoffs.
Well,
next year.
you just bumped it out 18 months, so let's say I'll stick with your positivity. How about a home game late in the season with playoff implications on the line? You're not thinking about them hosting in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, but either way, it's probably going to be a team scrapping to try to make the playoffs. It's not going to be two undefeated teams meeting in November like we were used to. It's not going to be one of those kind of events. It's going to be, and it's different. It's a different point of view. It's a different way to look at it. Of man, we really need to beat this team that is average, maybe not the top of the league. So, but I hear what you're saying. This is.
Yeah, I think probably next year. Maybe early next year you get off to a good start and you have a big game.
But if you don't make
hard to predict that,
right?
But
if you miss out on the playoffs this year, do you get a primetime matchup? I mean, we've seen
I
this
don't
year.
care
This is
what
the
time.
only.
I mean, it could be a 1:00 game in week 3. Might be the next time they have a big game.
Well,
I have no idea. What
I think
time
that I think
it
could be it could be a week 16 or 17 matchup where it's like you need the win, you win, you're into the postseason. It could still
I
happen
think that's
this year.
that's Deuce's
Yes.
call. He thinks you're scrapping for the playoffs. Maybe you have a game against who knows.
But I think
Miami at the end of the year,
right?
And the winner is gets the 7th wild card and the 7th playoff spot, and the loser's out. I don't know. It could be something like that.
Yeah, but if you go down that road and if you allow negative thoughts to infiltrate your brain, you could be thinking, well, next real big game. When's the World Cup? 26? I mean, I know no one wants to go that far out.
If you're going just in the stadium in general, your Revs.
That's right.
Oh, there you
your
go.
Revs can't lose, guy.
Let me tell you something. That team.
playing some ball.
What a
Part
team.
of a team.
Teamwork.
Sunny day, stands full of fans, goes out there for himself. Individual achievement.
I think when I a little bit what I was talking about though is just the overall spectacle of this game, and I think Paul would speak to the spectacle of some of these games. And I haven't been to many. I've only been here 3 years, and there's been one playoff game. There was also when they raised the Super Bowl banner. That first game of that season when they played Pittsburgh. So in terms of like a spectacle game, I don't know. It's got to be a playoff game.
Is this the most highly anticipated, watched regular season game of any sport that either one of you can think of? I have not been able to come up with something. The only thing that comes close is from a localized hockey aspect. Like a Red Wings Avalanche post-brawl matchup the following year, where it's like, wow, I can't wait to see Darren McCarty go out there and absolutely kill Claude Lemieux, something like that. But not on a national level. That was just for me. The anticipation of this game. Anything in any sport has ever matched this?
Nothing that comes to mind. I mean, you've got two of the greatest all time to do it, that were together for so long, won so many championships, and now to play against each other. How do you top it?
I can't think.
Yeah, I just think it's so different because this is all about the exterior stuff that makes this important. It's not about the game,
right?
Yeah.
It's about the story.
But it's about the story that and for everyone watching either here at Gillette tonight or watching at home, you're going to be watching the sidelines. You're going to be watching every nuance of this game to see how people are reacting and behaving,
right,
in their respective roles.
But it's all because of Belichick and Brady.
All because of those two.
If Aaron Rodgers left the Packers and went to Tampa Bay last year and won the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady retired last year and didn't play, this would not be a big game. This game wouldn't be on Sunday Night Football.
No.
This is all about Brady's return to Foxborough.
That's it.
That's it.
It's
not about anything else.
And about the matchups between Tom versus Bill, and between. That's really it. Or you could say Tom versus Bill Belichick's defense. Just something that was it. But what it means to these two guys and who has more to lose and all that stuff we're going to get to. We have more than 2 hours to fill here, so I don't want to do too much too soon.
Start.
Instead, I would rather get some calls in before we go behind enemy lines here in a few minutes. We'll go to Sean in Vancouver first up on the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin. What's up, Sean?
Hey, good to speak with you. Fred was lamenting on Thursday that he wants someone reasonable to to bring him a path to victory for the Patriots. And I sent in an email, but there was no time to read it. So I just wanted to mention 5 things that I believe are a path to victory. It's a very thin path. It's like, walking a tight wire. It's probably not going to happen, but it's something that I think at least, you never know. Like you said before, Paul, it's the NFL. This isn't college playing some team that doesn't mean anything. But so number one, I always expect the unexpected. Every week in the NFL, some team does something that shocks the world, and maybe it's the Patriots this week. So that's maybe less reasonable one, but that's one part of it that I think. Number 2, well, we all read or we all heard about how Brady knows the Patriots all week, and but the reverse is true. The Patriots know him as well, so
Belichick
maybe
knows
they
him.
can game plan.
Belichick knows him.
Yeah. Belichick knows
Out
him.
of the remaining 3, Sean, why don't you pick the best one? What's your bet?
Or a relevant one?
Stop.
I think the relevant.
I expect the unexpected wasn't relevant.
I mean, there'll be an upset. I'm with Sean. Like I do not dismiss the Patriots' chances to win this game.
Give me your best.
I'm with Sean on that.
Give me your best of the remaining 5 there. What's your best one?
We're looking for a path to victory.
Okay, I won't read it, but I'll just say what I think the Patriots can do to win, and basically that's to pressure on the inside, because you can't pressure Brady from the outside. He sees any blitz coming. So, and you have to play well on all 3 phases. Like
now you're squeezing in another one, Sean. I'm going to cut you off. Thank you for the call. Pressure up the middle on Brady. I've heard a lot about that.
That's the first
this week.
one. That's upsets happen isn't a path to victory.
Right.
Like pressure up the middle is a path to victory. Like
Yes.
that's what Fred's looking for, is reasons to think they can do that. Now, I would counter, like, how do they get pressure up the middle?
Yeah. And that's a good question.
Do you bring Judon in?
Who's it? Yes.
Right.
And little teaser, I talked to Rodney Harrison a little bit, and we're going to be playing that later in the show. And I asked him about that, because everybody knows that that's kind of the kryptonite. As much of one as there is to get pressure up in Brady's face, so it's not, the stuff from the edges that he can just step into the pocket. You collapse the pocket and make him uncomfortable. So do you move guys around and do that? And, maybe that's a wrinkle that Bill Belichick can bring tonight.
Yeah, and what I think is we talk a lot on the show about how it's weird sometimes the Patriots offense and defense kind of like are these weird mirror images of each other. And, it's Godshaw and Guy inside. Traditionally, they're just kind of holding up. They don't get any push. I mean, it's not really their style of defense on early down. So to Paul's point, I think somebody like Barmore, who's a handful, or moving Judon inside, or moving both of those linebackers up into the A gaps. And, I think what the Patriots, they understand how smart they're going to have to play tonight because of the quarterback they're going against. The question, of course, is can they execute it? Can they execute it for the whole game? But I think they understand what they're going to have to do to not see Tom Brady just go out there, see exactly what they're in, know exactly where to go with the ball. And, we've seen plenty of Patriots defenses over the years that struggle to get pressure and are content to sit back and kind of wait for mistakes. And I don't think that if they try to do that tonight, I think they're going to get picked apart. And that kind of feeds into play loose, play fast, go after them, go get them.
All right, Moises in Connecticut. You're on the Patriots pregame show. What's up? Moises, hello. Not there.
Fat fingers.
Moises Alou.
It's not. It wasn't operator error this time, Paul. Tony in Canada. Hello, Tony. Thanks for joining us. What's going on?
Hey guys. Well, talking about the game, I think we all know what we can expect from Brady, and everyone's making this out to be Brady versus Belichick. But I've got an idea for you, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. I think this is a great opportunity for Mac Jones. When you consider what I hear is going to be the Patriots' offensive game tonight, it seems like they're going to be more into the air game, and it's tough to run against the Bucs. So I think this is a great opportunity for Mac Jones to have a big game, and I'm wondering what you guys think about that, and could that be a defining moment for him?
Who's going to be catching the balls that Mac Jones is throwing, Tony? That's my question. I mean,
it's an opportunity if he plays well.
It's an opportunity
if he does
plays
what he did in the first 3 games. It's an opportunity to get blown out.
Well, it's an opportunity for Jacoby Myers too, and for Hunter Henry. And you have to,
This is my point.
With the latter,
absolutely.
you got to get those guys involved a little bit more, and the other guys have to catch the balls that are thrown to them. And I mean, It's not a one-man show. With Brady, with the talent that he has on the receiving end, he can make it seem like a one-man show, but of course it's not. He's got talented receivers on the other end. I would love for Mac Jones to have a big game. He can't do it by himself. He needs guys to catch the balls. He needs guys to get open, and he needs them to then catch the ball.
Yeah, and I do get the weakness for the Bucs is the secondary. They're banged up. Mike talked about it. They're missing a couple of starting corners, and you got to see if you can maybe make some plays there. I don't really like the matchup still of the Patriots passing game against especially with those linebackers. I think most of the Patriots passing game is trying to spread people out a little bit and throwing quick short passes. I think Levante David, Devin White, those kinds of guys I think they'll be tough on those routes.
Yeah, that's why I like trying to get the ball out quick, get it out to the perimeter, and try to force guys like Richard Sherman, who hasn't tackled anybody in a year, to come in and have to come up and make those plays. I'm curious if there are new pieces tonight. I mean, James White is out, so immediately you're looking at the Patriots offense as having to go through some kind of evolution, whether it's J.J. Taylor playing more, whether they go back to Brandon Bolden, whether Ramondre Stevenson gets involved. N'Keal Harry potentially could be activated tonight. He was added to the roster yesterday, so he's an option. And so how do they fill those holes? What do they do, and how do they evolve a little bit as injuries have started to happen with White? And how can they start to grow a little bit on offense and find a little bit of an identity? I mean, I think in past years when you had a different offense, you'd look at the secondary and say, hey, I think we can have some success here. Nobody's feeling quite like that just yet, so we'll see. But I think trying to get those guys running across the field and out on the perimeter is probably the way to attack them.
All right, we're going to step aside. We're going to go behind enemy lines here in a couple of minutes on the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin, brought to you by Bose, proud to be the official sound and official headphones of the New England Patriots and the NFL. I love all my Bose products, from the Bose 700 soundbar to the Sport Buds and my old standbys, the Q35s. Love them to death. And the Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds. Rule the quiet. Learn more at Bose.com.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email this show at webradio@patriots.com.
Right back at you, buddy. We're happy to have you gone for 2 extra weeks.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
All right, wasting no time because our guest has to leave here shortly, so let's go behind enemy lines with Joey Knight.
You know the view from New England.
We go behind enemy lines.
But what about the view from the other side?
Well, I'm doing great, even though I miss being there with you guys.
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
My God, it's coming right for us!
John McClain has first place locked up, but Joey Knight has a chance to be in sole possession of second based on your performance here today in terms of favorite guests when we go behind enemy lines, Joey.
Now the heat's on.
You're
always being evaluated in Belichick land.
That's right. From the Tampa Bay Times, Joey Knight joining us here live in studio. It's great to have a guest. And I believe you are our first post-COVID back in studio guest for Behind Enemy Lines.
Yes. Wow,
I'm very
honored.
excited about that.
Now the pressure's really on.
Been a long time. Any talk about this game this week in Tampa? There's been some discussion here in New England.
You know, I was privileged enough to cover Super Bowl 55 in person in Tampa. What was that, 9 months ago? And this seems like the same thing. It's like Super Bowl 56.
Isn't that crazy?
It really is. You know, I'm talking to Rick Stroud, my co-worker with the Tampa Bay Times, and we were talking about how it's really cool to cover this. It's going to be a spectacle. It's just all the storylines and subplots are so intriguing. It's going to be something you're honored to cover, but also be nice when it's behind us, because it's been like a Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
It's been that hectic.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit about the Rams loss, coming off their first loss of the season. What did you kind of learn from the team? And obviously a bunch of injuries kind of coming out from that one. How do you feel like those injuries will kind of affect the team tonight?
It'll really affect them in the secondary, obviously. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. Richard Sherman, the All-Pro who signed Wednesday morning, is expected to start tonight. That's how thin they are. We even asked Richard Sherman, who's never been shy about his own talents, realistically, when do you think you'll play? And this is him talking Wednesday. He said, I'm going to need at least a week. I've got to get in game shape, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he said, I think I would be ready by the next game, and their next game's next week against Miami. And he said, if I were to play in this game, it'd be just another one of my accomplishments I could chalk up. Well, get out the chalk, because not only is Sean Murphy Bunting one of their starting corners, he dislocated his elbow against Dallas in the opener. Their other starting corner, Carlton Davis, has some abdomen and rib issues, so he's questionable. He's a late addition to the injury report. So they need Richard Sherman out of necessity. Otherwise, you're looking at some practice squad guys and a guy like D. Delaney, who was a very surprise survivor of the 53-man roster. They're a little depleted right there.
What has Brady's mood sort of been like during the course of the week? We've seen Tom get a little bit emotional, a little bit hyped up in big games. Now, obviously, he handles it very well for the most part with all the winning he's done, but what has his attitude been like all week?
In terms of emotion, this is not his first rodeo, obviously, umpteen Super Bowls, and he has said all the right things you would expect him to say to the Tampa media. But Tony Dungy told Rick Stroud, one of my coworker, earlier this week, he said, I remember, Tony Dungy was the old Bucs coach, and he came back for that Monday night game for the Colts, where they made this dramatic comeback, one of the greatest comebacks in Monday night history. But he said, that was my first return to Tampa, and you think you have your emotions in check all week, and you try to stay focused on the game, but when you get out there and see that crowd and they're cheering for you, he said, I almost lost it. Tom Brady, as inhuman as he seems, he's still human. And I'm really curious how, when he gets out there and runs out there for the first time and people are chanting him and cheering him, and he just gets this overwhelming avalanche of love tonight, for however momentary it might be, I'm really curious to see how he'll handle that emotionally.
Brady sounded horrible earlier this week.
Right.
He didn't look good. Is he okay? Is
yeah,
he
he's
healthy?
fine. He's had that hoarse voice thing more than once in training camp, particularly after crappy practices. He would come and talk to the media, and his voice would be hoarse. He said, sorry, guys, we just had a bleep practice. I think this one was after a very good practice, actually, but he said, I don't know what it is. My throwing arm's stronger than my voice right now, but he's fine.
Okay.
How is the defensive front seven? I mean, we remember them in the Super Bowl. They were all over
Right.
Patrick Mahomes. How have they kind of carried that over into this season? And do you feel like they're playing at that same level that we saw them end last season with?
They are not through 3 games. 3 sacks in 3 games. And Bruce Arians, who's never been ashamed of or shy about calling out his players when they're not performing, has said, we got to get a better push from our front 4. We all know that the pass rush and the secondary works hand in hand. And right now the pass rush guys are not doing their job. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. You got a nose tackle like Vita Vea. Sometimes he can push his guy back into the quarterback, but they're not getting the quarterback on the ground. And Bruce Arians said that's something we've got to do. And you talk about the pass rush, that's a little depleted. Jason Pierre-Paul, he's nursing some type of shoulder injury. He practiced Friday. People thought he'd give it a go. Bruce Arians remained optimistic he'd give it a go. He's not playing, so you're going to see the rookie Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, their first-round draft choice, play. He'll be in that rotation tonight. They're hurt. They're banged up on defense.
Well, with the secondary, you talked about all the injuries. Has it been as bad as the numbers indicate, or have they run in? I mean, they've played some good quarterback. I mean, Dak Prescott's been as productive as anyone, and Atlanta can throw the ball, and certainly last week with Matthew Stafford. I mean, has it been as bad as the numbers look, or you just sort of a bad combination facing some good passing offenses as well?
Well, here's the thing. I think teams are taking a page out of the Rams playbook, what the Rams did to them last season. They came out with Jared Goff in a Monday night game in Tampa, and they just threw the little quick screens, the quick throws. That's all Jared Goff did, and they won the game. And I think people saw that, took a page out of that playbook, and that's really all the Bucs have seen so far. Are people, nobody's running against them. They're seeing they can exploit the Bucs with just these quick throws, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. So that's the running game. Yeah, that is the running game. And so far, the Bucs just haven't been successful at stopping it. We just talked about they haven't been able to get the quarterback on the ground. And I imagine Bill Belichick will give some kind of variation of that tonight, especially with James White out. So, you got to do something different. So I expect to see Mac Jones doing a lot of short passes, just getting the ball out of his hands very quickly and saying, hey, you guys stop us in space.
I know you got a heart out here, so just very quickly before we get your score prediction, you claim to be an 80s aficionado.
Right.
So 3 quick, choose them. Weird Science or Real Genius?
Weird Science, no question.
no doubt there.
16 Candles or Breakfast Club?
16 Candles.
Finally,
2 for 2.
Rocky 3 or Rocky 4?
Rocky 3.
Wow. I love this guy.
John McClane hearing footsteps.
It's 3 for 3. John McClane, don't buy green bananas.
And finally,
Yes.
Joey, if you would please, a score prediction for tonight.
I really haven't thought about it. I do think that this team is not going to let Tom Brady lose this game. His teammates have talked about it all week. I think they are bound and determined to not let him come up here in this kind of setting, in this kind of situation, and let him lose. I don't score. I'm not sure. I would say the Bucs by about 10. I think the defense is going to play inspired. They've been challenged, even as banged up as they are. I think they're going to play inspired. I like the Bucs by about 10 points. How's that sound?
That's
not so good for you.
No, it sounds oddly optimistic, actually, for the way I'm thinking things could go tonight. Joey Knight with the Tampa Bay Times. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
And enjoy the game. Enjoy your time here in New England.
I will. Thank you, guys.
We're going to continue with your phone calls here at 855-PATS-500. We'll get to the emails, too, as they roll in. webradio@patriots.com. Plenty to get to here on this Patriots pregame show, including Tamara, who is once again in the parking lot. Tamara Brown from Patriots.com. Who are you with now, Tamara? What's going on?
Hardy, I came out in the parking lots and my eyes went directly to Bob's truck. I'm standing here with the owner of this amazing truck behind me. Bob, huge Patriots fan, obviously.
Patriots fan.
What made you get this huge ride decked out for the Patriots?
So we wanted a cool tailgate vehicle. I found an armored truck in California, bought it, had it shipped here. We stripped it down, covered it in the film, and we've had it for 5 years now. So it's been through 3 Super Bowls.
All right, you mentioned it's been through those Super Bowls. You got Tom Brady, who helped win those Super Bowls here tonight. But who are you rooting for?
I'm a Patriots fan first. I love Tom Brady, but I'm a Pats fan all the way.
I love that because I've been asking people, and they've been telling me both. Is that possible?
Well, I mean, if the Pats lose, which I don't think they will, you're happy for Tom Brady, he's setting the passing record and all that. But I'm a Patriots fan. I want to see the Pats get back to the Super Bowl with Mac Jones and do some cool things the next few years.
All right, he's rooting for the Patriots. Bob has this amazing truck. If you come out in the parking lot, you cannot miss it. Hardy, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Tamara. And tell Bob to bet the money line on the Patriots, which would be a huge cash windfall, and then he can load it into his armored truck and drive it back to wherever it is.
Can we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah.
This Vegas, I don't know, this random theory that I never knew about until this week, that when there is a ton of money on one team and the line doesn't really move demonstratively to even that out, it means Vegas knows something. So just to put that in like specifics, the line opened at 5.5. Everybody's on Tampa. I think 98% of the money at some places is on Tampa, and the line has only moved to 7, which I guess is not a lot. To me, that is a lot.
That's a lot.
I guess it's not a lot.
That's a lot.
According to the Sharps. And they're not continuing to make it higher because they don't want to make it higher to entice Patriots bets because they think the cover is coming.
I don't think that the books do a lot of speculating in terms of who's going to win games.
That's how I've always understood it, Hardy, exactly the way you described it. Like, their goal is in general to get as much money on both sides as they can so they don't run the risk of taking a bath.
Right. I think what they like in games like this is all the extra action. There are a ton of props available on this, and this is where the casinos really make their money on the parlays and the 5-ways and stuff that only gets bet normally during Super Bowls. They're being bet this week as part of this game. People are treating it like a Super Bowl betting event. So I think the casinos are probably content to make their money on all that side action and all the props, which they're going to clean up on. And in terms of the line, I think 5.5 to 7 is a pretty big move. I really do. Now, if it's truly that lopsided, then one of two things is happening. That they do know something, which I don't believe they do. They don't have a crystal ball, and these casinos are businesses first and foremost, and they want 50-50 action on these bets. Or the money coming in on this game is not as much as we thought. And if there's a lopsided game out there, not to call this, like college lacrosse, but they're not going to lose sleep over a bunch of money coming in on that. And maybe there isn't that much being bet on this game after all. Maybe it's being treated like any other regular season NFL game. So if it is lopsided, so what? It's a small fraction of the bets we have coming in this weekend. And if we lose on that one, we're going to be just fine on every other game on the board.
Yeah.
My gut tells me it's the latter. Everyone's talking about it. Who's really betting it? Who's betting the game?
It's like who catches Brady's record-breaking yardage pass?
Well, I mean,
I just feel like if there was
if
there was something that Vegas knew, like I just don't understand the notion that Vegas knows something. That whole notion to me, I don't get.
Well,
and you hear it all the time. Yeah. They know something.
Just anecdotally on this game, everybody bets the Super Bowl. Everybody's got a bet on the Super Bowl.
Right.
I haven't talked to anybody who was talking about their bet for the game this week. To me, the betting this.
No, you wouldn't. And I think you just hit the nail right on the head. This area is known as a huge betting area, right? The Patriots get a lot of money, right? You're a Vegas guy, way more than me. You live there. You know it. You understand it. The Patriots get a lot of money.
Yep.
How many Patriots fans do you think are betting the Patriots this week?
Or just betting the game, period. It's not a game.
You're not going to bet against your team.
Probably not.
Right? I mean, unless you're a real gambler. And I don't think most schmoes are not real gamblers. They're not betting the game because they don't have the faith.
We talked to
That's why I think all the money's on Tampa. Usually every other game, the Patriots get a lot of money because we're crazy around here. We're crazy gamblers and crazy fans.
And we talked to RJ Bell about this earlier in the week. We thought the line was pretty favorable for the Patriots. He said the line was right on. He said he and his guys, they make the lines for the Associated Press. And he said, based on the loss to the Rams last week, that was worth about a point. The most a line will move from week to week in terms of just one win or one loss against another team is about a point. So had the Patriots won last week, may have moved it a half a point in their favor in terms of, they're not as much of an underdog. The Bucs losing last week did not blow up their spot more than a point. So they adjusted, a point and a half either way because of that. Some money rolls in. They adjusted another point and a half, but he said based on the records, based on the way they played, what it opened at, that was about right. There wasn't any book, there wasn't any sharp out there looking at that and salivating over it. So I think a lot of that money coming in, which A, may not be all that much, B, is just people looking at oh my God, Brady's going to go in there and kill him.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm following
there's
you correctly.
There's
but
not a lot of analysis going on with this.
Because usually, like, conventional wisdom for non-betting is a good team that loses, now we're like, oh, now the Patriots are in for it because they've lost a game. They're going to come in, but it doesn't sound, if I'm following you correctly,
doesn't matter. They don't
really
pay
matter.
attention to that. The only thing they'll do is say, people might shy away from a little bit because they lost, so we're gonna make it. We're going to take away a point from their favorite status for this week. Oh, and the Patriots had a loss coming in too, so it's almost a wash. But maybe it's only worth about a half a point when it's all said and done.
Does Vegas believe in bouncing back from losses? Do they believe in momentum? It's all these. Where does the money go?
Coldly analytical.
I think they try to be as analytical as possible. But what I don't get is the notion that, and this has got nothing to do with tonight's game, but the notion that quote unquote Vegas knows something is a phrase that I've never really understood. I think they do it exactly the way Hardy just said it. They analyze it with a ton of data, and they try as best as they can to get the money as evenly spread as possible. If it doesn't work out that way, I do believe that the spread has moved. I agree with Hardy. I don't recall spreads moving more than 2 points, in individual weeks. I don't follow this. I'm not a quote unquote sharp. I'm not, and I know your colleague Hardy at the Sports Hub, Dim Livshatz, is the one who first really started locally with this theory that he compares it to the Peyton Manning game with Denver going back to Indy, which was a similar kind of modest spread. It didn't move everybody bet Denver. It didn't move that much. Indy ended up winning the game 39-33. I mean, I look at that game and I say, well, Indy was a lot better than the Patriots at the time with Andrew Luck. I believe they were an AFC championship. I think the next year, I think that was 2013 that game happened. The next season, 2014, I think Indy went into Denver in the playoffs and beat the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken.
Then they came here for the AFC
and then they came here for Deflategate championship and got killed. But that was a better team than this Patriots team is.
All right, let's get back to the phones here. 855-PATS-500. Patty in Agawam has been holding. We appreciate your patience there. Cousin Patty, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, what's up, guys? With the sharp snow Nikhil Harry's playing. That's why they got the extra point and a half.
Well, we'll see. We'll find out about that in a little while. Probably about
I was going to say about another hour.
So
7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, good call, Hardy.
So I wanted to bring up something. I know during the week, I really wanted to call on Thursday. I've been busy all week. But I could say it because they're a corporate sponsor at Pepsi. But he said he wished somebody would call and give him some sort of a logical reason that how this defense could slow down Tom Brady and Bucs offense. And I'm surprised nobody went to possibly looking at the Super Bowl 36 game plan with Kurt Warner and the Rams. I wanted to.
I'm trying to be less snarky.
No,
that's kind of like what everybody's saying. Like make them run. Flood the field. I mean, I think Mike, you brought up Miles Bryant during the week,
right?
And you ended up being prophetic because that's one of the guys that Belichick tabbed from the practice squad to promote. They want to promote him so they have extra defensive backs at their disposal, I think, in an effort to force Brady to try to run the ball and slow the game down and keep the score down.
Yeah,
that's the Rams' game plan.
I think it makes sense, but I also think a big part of that Rams game plan was specifically for Marshall Faulk and what an important part of the game plan he was. So that's where I kind of lose it a little bit. But anytime you're trying to slow down a passing offense that's explosive like this, that loves to pass, I think it just makes sense to. And I mean, I think getting pressure with 4, that it goes back to pressure up the middle and getting. I mean, we saw it in that Super Bowl. They were all over Kurt Warner, laying licks on him left and right. So I think that's a big part of it.
Patty, thanks for the call, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. You got something else?
I was just going to say, you just hope that the 4 guys up front can get through and make some plays,
I don't know if
that's
it's
all I got, guys.
All right, I don't know if it's going to be them. I really don't. We're sitting here theorizing on who else they can send up the middle. A-gap.
Get at those A-gap.
I don't know. Deuce, you must have been sitting down with a whitebord all week.
Shake off the wind.
Crossing it off, writing it in. No, it's I think
I wonder if Brady has thought about this too.
Right? No, he knows. He knows everything, and that's what's hard. I think it's less about what and more about just being able to do it for a whole game. I mean, I'm sure that they'll have a couple good plays, but it's so weird being on the opposite side of Tom Brady and going into games and as a Patriots fan, when you had Tom Brady and being like, oh, I don't know if we can get this one, and now it's just the total reverse of it and trying to figure out how to slow him down. And we've seen it sometimes, but sometimes it just came out of the blue. A lot of times against teams that you wouldn't really expect that he didn't quite do it. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, it's like right down the field. And, oh, hey, he had a bad game for 3 quarters, but then he turns it around. And that's what you always have to be wary of. Any second he could just turn it on, especially with this offense and the weapons he has down the field. It's the Patriots can play an amazing game for 59 minutes, and then it can be a 60-yard Antonio Brown touchdown, and it's over.
Spee in Fresno joining us now. Patriots Pregame Show fueled by Dunkin. What's up, Spee?
I'm dubbing this game the Clockwork Orange Bowl because a lot of Patriots fans are about to have their eyes peeled back for substantial and painful reprogramming. This is going to be brutal.
Oh, it won't be that bad.
I had the game at 44-13, but the behind enemy lines talk about the Bucs secondary. I mean, I'm going 44-20 for the Bucs, but the interesting thing with the Bucs, I think that 2 of those points are coming off a safety. One's going to be a pick six, and the last one, and this is kind of where my question is, I think Brady's going to have a choice, just with the game in hand in the fourth quarter. He's like, do we just run the ball, let the clock run out, or am I just going to be in the moment and say, I'm going to throw a touchdown here. I'm going to stick it right to Bill. Or is Brady got to be more classy than that? Is he going to, if he has the opportunity, is he going to show up the Patriots, or is he going to take the higher road? What do you guys think?
That's a good question.
You know what, Spee?
I think he's going to do whatever he can to win the game.
I
don't think he has any interest whatsoever in anything else but a W.
Yeah, and Spee, it's a good question. I don't think he's going to do anything foolish that could result in things being turned the other way, and it doesn't even have to be a pick six. It can just be something that takes a guaranteed score off the board, for trying to play hero ball to run things up. I'm with Paul. I think he is going to make sure if they do get out to a lead, I think he's going to play to that lead. I think he's going to play smart, and we know it's an emotional game for Brady, but he knows that too, and he knows that he has to keep his emotions in check.
If it's 5 minutes left in the game and they're up 2 scores and they have the ball and the Patriots have 9 guys at the line of scrimmage, he's going to throw the ball. He's not throwing the ball to try to run up the score and stick it to them. He's throwing it because that's the thing to do to best keep the clock running to win the game.
Right.
So don't just say well, you said he wouldn't throw the ball. Well, no, he'll throw it if he's supposed to. He'll run it when he's supposed to. I don't think he's going to look to put 50 on the board.
Then flex on the Patriots sideline.
I mean, would you? I'd be surprised.
No, I would too.
I mean, I can't. I don't know what's going to happen. Just like anybody else, but I'd be surprised if that happened.
But I will say, if he throws a single pass to Antonio Brown, I will feel attacked just by seeing Antonio Brown participate in this game. That's the one thing I don't want. I'm glad we got out of the Gronk spike. Thank you for that. I don't have to worry about the big Gronk spike coming here. But
he really is a little.
Okay, but here's the thing with Gronkowski, and I brought this up earlier in the week when I thought he was still going to play. I thought, ribs, whatever, he's going to play. I would argue that this game was going to be more emotional and have more to do with one's psyche for Rob than it would for Tom.
I could see it affecting him a little bit. I could see it more than Tom.
I think Tom's departure here was was really a two-sided affair. I think he had done his time here in New England and with great success, but was ready for something different. I think the Patriots felt very much the same way, and they parted company. Rob Gronkowski did not like playing football anymore, and whether you believe that was all physically or not, I got news for you. He likes playing football again, and it's with a different team. And one of the reasons why he didn't like football anymore is he didn't like playing for the Patriots. So he quit football. And he only started playing football again when it was agreed to that he could play for another team. For him to come back here and play against Belichick and the Patriots, I think a lot more emotions were going to be in play for Rob than they would be for Tom. It's just at a different level. If you want to talk about some real anger or angst or sadness or misgiving, whatever. He doesn't have any of the misgivings. That would be on the other side. The anger, I don't know where it's going to be coming from. Maybe from both sides. But the Gronkowski aspect of it, I thought was had the potential to be more volatile than the Brady aspect.
Yeah, I agree. It's two different stories, and I agree with the way you laid it out. I think everybody understands how hard it is to play for Bill Belichick here, and I don't think that's that crazy. And I think that there's a certain degree of I get it. Tom was here for 15 years. Eventually, it got the overload of everything, having to do that over and over again, and he was able to last a little longer than Gronk. But I think the injuries added up for Gronk too, and I think that's the hard part of him is every other year it seemed like he'd have to deal with something significant. And last year was great. He stayed healthy. They were able to manage him. They didn't have to use him as much, and now this year he gets banged up again. It's just, it's unfortunate. I do feel bad for Gronk. Just, some of the worst memories as a Patriots fan are watching Rob Gronkowski writhe on the field in pain over his various injuries that, certainly cost the Patriots chances to finish their seasons better than they did without him. And he was such a key part of everything they did. So I guess it's nice tonight just to be able to focus a little more on Tom and kind of let that Gronk part of it go. I'm sure there'll be something for him down the road eventually, but I think you're right. It's different, and I think the reception might have been a little different too.
And I also think that the absence of Gronk, I think, it hurts the Bucs because obviously he's a big part of what they've done so far. 4 touchdowns I think in 3 games. But I do think there's a part of me that thinks that helps Brady a little bit because you want to talk about the need to try to do it a certain way if you're Brady. You're looking to put 50 on the board. Or you're looking at well, I do think he would have been looking to get Gronk a touchdown.
Oh yeah.
And now that's off the table.
Right.
You don't have to worry about forcing it to somebody. Brady can just do the regular. Who's your favorite receiver? The open one. So there's no there's no conflicting thoughts going on with Brady. Like,
you think he wants to get AB1?
It's 3rd and goal from the 3, but this coverage is all set up for Mike Evans. But I'm going to throw it to Gronk anyway.
Got to get him something.
You don't have to worry about that.
Antonio Brown.
No,
Good
I don't
grief.
think it's anywhere near the same for him.
I don't think it is the same, but
it's only with Gronk.
But there is
and it probably wouldn't have been an issue anyway. But now it can't be.
There's
that
that mentality that served the Patriots very well. It served Tom very well in that he believes he has all the answers. He believes he can fix things that are seemingly unfixable. I would put Antonio Brown in the category of unfixable at one point in his career. And he takes him in, and it doesn't work out. And then he takes him in again, and he does his Brady magic, and all of a sudden he's contributing to a Super Bowl championship, and they're doing it again this year. That, to me, I just find distasteful. Makes me sound like an arrogant ass, but it really is. That Antonio Brown just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I think he's a bad guy.
Yeah. I do too.
Know?
Yeah.
I can't help it.
I never lamented his loss for even a second.
I didn't want him here in the first place. I didn't think he wanted to play football. And here comes Tom Brady with his borderline Scientology stuff that says I can fix him. I'm like, oh, get over yourself. And damned if he doesn't do it. So, all the guy does is prove me and everyone else wrong time and time and time again. I would just rather, if I could have my druthers on this one, I'd rather have it not be with him hooking up with Antonio Brown twice tonight in the end zone. I could live without that.
I would love to live without that tonight, please.
That's just I'll take my victories where I can get them. All right, Moises in Connecticut is back on the phone. Moises, we couldn't hear you before. Hopefully you're there now. What's up?
Hey, guys. It's an honor just to be talking to you guys. The only way to pressure Brady is to beat him for all phases of the football field for 60 minutes. He needs to be pressured.
How would you do that?
How are you going to do that?
Put Matt Judon and an A-gap. Keep Kyle Van Noy on the defensive side. You got to keep pressing him because if you don't, Tom Brady is going to pick us apart.
All right, Moises. I like that.
I agree. I think that's if you're going to slow the Patriots, if you're going to slow the Bucs offense down, it's got to be with consistent pressure without blitzing, without exposing yourself.
And that's why I think anytime he looks and he sees Godchaw and Guy, he's going to say, well, I got a good 5 seconds right now in the pocket because these guys aren't coming after me. They're just going to stand there. So I'd love to see them change it up on defense. And like you said, it can't be crazy blitzes, but it can be a lot of defensive backs, and we're going to send guys every now and then from the slot. But I'd love to look for Christian Barmore. I mean, I even think Dietrich Wise is kind of a little bit of a pass rush kind of guy. Like, you would have said Adam Butler in the past, but I'd look to those guys to, get in there, get pressure, just cause some disruption, throw the Bucs off, throw something like that's what I think. Right when the game starts, like if you look out and you see the defense line up like we've seen it for the first 3 weeks, I think it's gonna be a long night.
Trick them.
They gotta have something.
They gotta trick the Bucs offensive line. They gotta do the stunts that they do where they loop the linebackers around. We've seen Juwan Bentley periodically get some pressure up the middle that way. Dietrich Wise isn't going to win enough one-on-one battles to get there. The only way that I think they ever consistently get pressure is when they somehow get 2 blockers to block down on the same guy, and they carve out space for someone to come in the gap and you come untouched. They don't win enough one-on-one battles to do it any other way. Wouldn't be a bad idea to get Uche involved tonight if he's healthy and up tonight, because I think he has the speed to come around those corners and maybe make a play. So I agree with Moises. If you sit back and you play zone, Tom will pick you apart. If you force him to run, he'll take the run and they'll do it that way. If you don't get any pressure, it's going to be a long day.
Is there any advantage that the Patriots have, though, in going up against the guy that between Belichick and Patricia, now that he's back and have seen for so long and know every nuance of his game? Can you give any kind of an edge to the Patriots tonight in terms of what they will know about him that other teams simply can't know by virtue of the time that Bill spent with Bill and Matt over the years?
I mean, I wish I could say a significant amount. I'm sure there's a few little things that they say, hey, he has some trouble with these, but I think it just comes down to being able to execute it. And that's, I don't think there's really a secret of what you have to do. I think it's just a question of can you execute it, and can you execute it for the whole game? I don't think that there's a secret formation or play call or strategy that Tom Brady is going to all of a sudden pull his hair out. I think no matter what you throw at him, he's going to adjust and get better and figure it out and start to move the ball. And that was another thing I remember Mangini saying against Brady, was that you need two different game plans. You need one for the first half, you need one for the second half. You need, once he knows what you're doing in the first half, if you come out and do the same thing, he's going to tear it apart. So go out, second half, change it up again. So maybe that's part of it too.
All right, let's go to Tayshaun in Connecticut on the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Dunkin. Tayshaun, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
So, two questions. Do you feel like Bill will play the defense back so they won't allow large plays? And second, on the offensive side, with JPP being out, do you think we'll take advantage by trying to run the ball more?
No.
They still got some big boys in the middle.
Yeah, JPP is a pass rusher, not really a run stopper. But I think that the first question, I think yes. I think they'll have a lot of defensive backs, try to keep everything in front, and make Brady, take small chunks.
Yeah. Bend, don't break, kind of. That's, I mean, I'm trying to remember how they kind of approached Peyton Manning, but I just feel like Peyton Manning, regardless of strategy, it was the same thing. It's just do your best and hold on, because he's going to make some plays, and when he does, you're going to have to bounce back and answer some of those plays with plays of your own. So that's going to be the challenge, I think, is
the challenge
for the
isn't
offense.
with the Patriots defense. The challenge is with the Patriots offense.
Okay, we're going to get to that too. Tayshaun, thank you for the call. But before we do, I'm sure Matt's ready for our call from Australia. So we'll talk to Rob, who is in Australia now on the Patriots pregame show. Hello, Rob.
Hey, boys. How are you?
Good day, mate. Hey, Rob. There it is. I knew Morel would have something for you. What's happening in Australia?
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie. Leonard Fournette in fantasy, because I think he's going to have a big game tonight if they're going to play 6 or 7 D-backs.
Slow down, Rob. I cannot decipher your Australian accent. You're going to have to speak slower for us. I can barely make out what you're saying.
I speak Australian. It's okay. I'll translate for you.
Go ahead. Keep going.
I was just saying, I think it's going to be a big night for Leonard Fournette.
Oh, okay.
Leonard Fournette, Hardy.
Yeah, Leonard Fournette.
I got it. I got it. He understands it.
Look, I think if they go that light front, I think Brady will take advantage, and they'll run the ball. I don't think Tom's going to force anything down the field. I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people have called into the fourth. I would say 24-17 garbage time touchdown for Mac to make it look closer than it is. But beyond the game, I want your opinion on this. If we come out 1-3 with the Bills and the Chiefs and everybody else in the AFC, what do you think going forward? I mean, you'd probably have to go 9-4 the rest of the season to have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs.
I would agree with that.
What do you think?
Yeah.
20% chance.
A lot of it has
of going 9-4 in the last 13 games.
Exactly right. You know,
I wouldn't put it that high.
3 a.m. to watch these games. It's tough.
I would agree with you that if they lose tonight, you got to go 10-7 to have a shot.
Yeah.
I would think, but I wouldn't put the chances of going 9-4 in the last 13 as high as 20%.
Yeah, and I would say this, and Rob, thanks for the call. It's not necessarily about the win tonight as it is seeing elements of something that can get you more wins down the road.
They have to play a good game. They've yet to do that this year.
I thought they played a decent game against Miami.
8 penalties.
A little sloppy, but in terms of the execution.
2 turnovers.
Fumble on the goal line.
Yeah, I mean, I've yet to see them really play a good game.
The
best game that they played, they recovered their fumbles, and the other team threw them picks, so they scored enough points.
Do you think they played better? Obviously, they got the win.
The best game they played was probably the Miami game. I would agree with you.
Okay, all right, that's all.
But I don't think they played well in it.
I thought there were,
especially considering what I've seen from Miami the ensuing 3 weeks.
That was my feeling, though. After the Miami game, I felt better after the Miami game than I did after the Jets game.
I agree.
I felt better about the team.
Totally with you. I think we were like that kind of in that post game.
Yeah, I think
we felt like we had to have a win, and that's what we were fine with. But I don't think we felt like they played great.
It looks worse in retrospect. I think from those 3 games, you can pick out pieces here and there, and maybe defensively it hasn't been quite as overwhelmingly bad as it was, as people might have you believe. I think that they've had some moments. I think it's been the clutch that stopped them. But I generally agree with Paul's point. I think that to be in week 4 right now, I don't really know who they are yet. I think, and maybe that's not crazy. They got a rookie quarterback, and you talk about identity and what's your offensive identity. What can you lean on? And now you felt like you were leaning into James White, and now he's out, so it's a little bit of a reset in regards to that part of the game. So I agree. Even if they lose this game, I just love to see some progress from the offense, to start to see it look a little bit more functional, and and if the defense can step up and get a couple key stops and maybe open a door for an opportunity here and there, then great. But just don't beat yourself with penalties. That's the stuff that I think has been so uncharacteristic of the Patriots, turning the ball over, that sloppy stuff.
Heading into the season, I think most of us would have said, well, they're going to lean on the running game. They're going to try to keep it, take some of the pressure off their rookie quarterback, right? Well, they haven't run the ball great. They're facing another good run defense like they did last week against New Orleans. They're facing another good run defense tonight. So where do you turn? What do you have to fall back on? And I think someone called earlier and said it was a really big opportunity for Mac Jones. I agree that it is. I mean, if Mac Jones goes out and plays a really good game tonight and puts some points on the board, that's going to be a big step in his development, a big step in his career. Now, he's facing a team that everybody's throwing the ball all over. So he should have some success tonight. I'm not saying he should go out. I don't think he's expected to go out and put 35 on the board and beat Tom Brady in a shootout. I'm not suggesting that. But he should be able to throw the ball with much more efficiency than he did last week against this secondary.
Yep. Let's go to Ontario, where Dustin has been waiting. Dustin, you're on the Patriots Pregame Show with Deuce and Paul and Hardy. What's up, Dustin? Hello.
Hey, fellas. I hope you're having a great night.
We are.
We'll see.
Good,
we'll see how it goes later.
First and foremost, I wanted to apologize for the rant that I went on last time I called in about the O-line. I've always been a pretty straight shooting guy. I call things as I see them.
Oh, you were right.
But I'm also quite aware. Yeah, I'm also quite aware that I can come across strong with my words sometimes. So I apologize if I rubbed anyone the wrong way.
No, you didn't. Don't worry. No apologies necessary.
I was a little hurt by it, but I'm okay now.
No apologies necessary on this show.
Okay. All right. So, secondly, in regards to tonight's game, I wanted to know what you guys thought the Patriots' run defense could do to possibly sort of fix their woes against the run, especially against Leonard Fournette, who's been, he's known to be a productive back. So far this season, the Patriots have had trouble stopping the Jets, who don't really have a run game to speak of, really. And then, of course, against Alvin Kamara, I can't quite remember if they struggled against Miami's run game. But I just wanted to know what you guys thought about what the Patriots could do to limit Fournette tonight.
See, I think the problem for me is that the Patriots' defense is so obvious what they're trying to do. Like when they're trying to stop the run, you can see they're trying to stop the run right now. It's just there's such wholesale personnel changes where, as a team like Tampa, they just kind of play their guys and maybe they bring in like a nickel back. But ultimately, it's not wholesale changes between Godshaw, Guy, and Wise is 3-4 and that, and then all of a sudden, here comes Barmore and Wise on the inside, and we have the four-man front rushing. So it's just so obvious, even to me, when you see it, that it's going to be clear to Brady when he gets out there, and if he doesn't see the two big fatties in the middle, he's going to run. And if he does, and if they're not out there, and you see Barmore and Wise in the middle, then he is going to run. So that's why I think it's fascinating. And as I said, I think you'll know right from the beginning what are they trying to do? How do they mix and match those guys? How do they, do they go with more of an approach to stop the run on the way to the quarterback, which is what a lot of teams do? Because I just think if they play too much of those two-gapping, interior, big space eater guys, that Brady's going to eat them apart because they're going to get no push. There's going to be a nice pocket for him every single time just to step up and pick them apart.
Lewis in Orlando now on the Patriots pregame show. Hello, Lewis.
Hey guys, first time caller. Sorry, I was taking care of stuff here at the house, but my thoughts on the game. I think this will be a big stepping stone for our team, really, if we are able to pull up an upset. I know we're pretty far from that. My question to you guys, as far as games that you guys kind of covered, where does this sit as far as biggest games that you have covered?
Just in terms of its importance or its scope or its attention, what do you mean?
I guess, we've been in so many big games, and there's always a lot of excitement, obviously, with me living here in Orlando. I've had to kind of put up with all the Tampa Bay and the Brady jerseys around as I'm out in public. But for you guys, you get to cover a lot of these big games.
All right.
What does it as far as big games?
I don't mean to take the wind out of your sails, Lewis, but I do not think of this as a big game.
I agree.
I think of this as a big event.
It's a huge event.
And I think of it as mostly spectacle, as our behind the enemy lines guest Joey Knight from the Tampa Bay Times called it. I don't think there's enough at stake for either team to have this be a big game.
Yeah, and I think it would be, if the Patriots were to win tonight and post one of those upsets, I think it would be on that list of games that you remember, when the Patriots had sort of some doubters and they pulled off an upset. But I think Hardy's right. I mean, this is not going to have a huge impact on Tampa Bay's season, either way. Now,
yeah, they don't want to be 2-2.
Yeah, I could make an argument that if the Patriots were to win, it could be one of those springboard games, right? Where all of a sudden some of the young guys gain some confidence, some of the new guys sort of start to fit in and gel, and here come the Patriots. Maybe they generate a little bit of momentum off of a win tonight. But in the grand scheme of things, it's week 4. It's the road team's coming. Yeah, the road team is coming in as a touchdown favorite on the it's not that big a game. It's a humongous event.
Yeah, and some news here from Warmups right now, and they haven't officially started. This is still early, but no sign of Isaiah Wynn or Trent Brown early on in the warm-up. Some of the reports are that we have Justin Herron and Yasir Durant currently. It is still a little bit early. We should have inactive soon, but I mean, if those two offensive tackles can't go, that's a big blow.
Who does
Not good, Bob.
Okay, so this has been talked about a lot too, but I don't know what your specific answers are. So, who does the win mean more to tonight? Tom Brady or Bill Belichick?
I think Bill Belichick.
If Bill were to get a win tonight, it would mean more to him than if Tom Brady were to get the win.
I think it means a lot to both of them. I'm not going to try to say it doesn't mean as much to anybody. I just think it probably has a little bit more. I think Bill's sort of down a little bit. In the court of public opinion, people wondering still, why isn't Tom still here? Why did you drive him away? Why did you allow this to happen? And he went off and won a Super Bowl. And what did you have? You went 7-9. I think it would mean more to Bill to post this win over Tom.
Yeah, and I think it would mean more to this Patriots team that could badly use a win. I mean, we've been going on for a while here without, I don't want to say a signature win. That puts a little bit too much on it, but just the Ravens game a little bit last year, but just a game where you feel like, hey, the Patriots can kick into gear, play a solid football game, and beat a good team. And I think that right now we're having some doubts, and I know it's a new team and you have to reestablish what teams in the past did and become your own team. So, I think if the Bucs were to win this game, they feel good about Tom, and they kind of move on quick. I don't think that this is like a feather in their cap as much as it would be for a Patriots team that, not a young team, a new team that knocks off the defending Super Bowl champs, especially with Tom Brady.
I agree with you 100%, and it is something that Bill can say, all right, there is something, to
trust the process,
to get out of all this. And, the process, it worked and it was just for a game, but it's against, whatever way you look at it, whether it was the emotion of it or just your team being able to take down the defending Super Bowl champion that brought everybody back. And even with their injuries, still a damn good football team. They came in on a Sunday night and you figured out a way to beat them. And along those same lines, who's affected more by a loss out of those two guys, I think it's Brady. Because for Bill, if you lose, well, you know what?
I was supposed to.
I was supposed to lose. I was the
I
underdog
kind of agree
in
with
this game.
that, too.
I do.
But for Brady, it's like, I can't believe I lost that game.
Yeah.
I can't believe he got me again. I can't believe it. That would affect him emotionally, would have to affect him emotionally more than the loss would affect Bill.
Imagine what his voice would sound like next week.
I can't talk.
He looked and sounded like he was dripping with COVID. And
Can you imagine like Paul coming home one day to his wife? He's like, "Oh, you sound rusty tonight." I had to yell at the guys. It was a tough day at the office. I was just screaming at everybody all day long. I can't talk anymore.
I thought his voice was hoarse. I didn't really think he looked bad.
I think he looked pale. I think he
Deuce, you know what I think he looks like in general now.
Gaunt.
I think he looks too skinny.
Eat. Have a sandwich.
Have a sandwich.
Oh, my God. Something. You want to do the over-unders now? We got a lot of time left in the pregame. It's up to you, Matty Morell. If you want, we're doing it.
There it is.
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
You're over me? When were you under me?
All right, over-unders. Take us through what happened last week if you have to.
Well, all three of you went 2-4 last week, so no big deal there.
No trash talk.
But the season totals remain unchanged, and Paul Perillo has a pretty good lead.
Paul 12-6, Mike 9-9, Hardy 6-12.
All right, so Paul actually knows something. Mike is
floundering,
flipping a coin. I'm flipping a coin and batting it out of the air once it would land on the side I need it to. So I'm doing myself great harm in the over/under so far. All right, let's get this thing
Harry
going.
out there milling around, by the way. Looks like he might make it a go tonight.
All right.
There you go.
That's something.
Does that affect the line? Will the line move?
Stop it. Deuce.
So went up to 8.5?
That type of commentary isn't helpful. There's a lot of emotions at play right now, and you're going to get people upset if you say things like that. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You get snarky and sarcastic when you get
just
nervous?
Get jittery.
All right, let's go. Let's do these.
Mac Jones touchdown passes 1.5.
Paul, or excuse me, Deuce, you start.
Yeah, I'm going to lead us off, and I'm going to start us with some positivity. Yes, I'm going to say Mac Jones over 1.5. I think he's got 2 or 3 touchdowns in him tonight.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I lost on this one last week, but it's not going to teach me any kind of a lesson. I'm going to take the over as well. I think this is going to be a game where they're going to have to throw the ball and they're going to have to score points.
Well, unlike the picks or the 6-pack, which tonight will be a 2-pack, I am suckling hind teat in this, so just as a mere power play, I'm going to have to take the under to go against both these guys who are leading me.
Okay, Tom Brady touchdowns 2.5.
Paul, you're up first.
I will take the over in this one. I just feel like that offense is going to be too much for the Patriots defense to handle.
Yeah, sneak peek as to what my score prediction is going to be on this one. Pound the over. Tom Brady touchdowns 2.5. Over.
Yeah, me too. Over.
Nikhil, you're a wizard. Harry receptions 1.5.
Oh, hello.
Well, if he plays,
he was milling.
Yeah, if he plays, I think he's good for a couple of catches. I'll take the over on that.
Yeah, why not? Let's go, Nikhil. Take the over.
Paul's going under.
Because he's not a really good player. That's why not. I will take the under. Red Sox win. Yankees win. Wild card game Tuesday night, Fenway Park.
Woo. There you go. Well, the Sox must have rallied. They were down 5-1, huh?
They did. You didn't notice any of my gestures during the
I'm doing a show about the Patriots Buccaneers game, and I'm focused in on this.
Yeah, they got 1 in the 6th, 2 in the 3 in the 2 in the 7th, and 2-run homer by Rafael Devers.
Yeah, so Tampa's inactives are out. Carlton Davis, starting cornerback, is active.
All right.
Patriot sacks 2.5.
Deuce, you're up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think they got to throw stuff at Brady. I think they got to get to him at least a few times. So I'm going to take the over.
Patriots sacks 2.5. I'll take the under.
Yeah, I'm going under on this one, too. I don't think the Patriots get sacked. You're saying Patriots will sack Tom Brady three times if you're going over? No, they're not going to sack him 3 times. Under.
Here was my fun one for the night. Which quarter does Tom Brady break the record in?
How many yards does he need? Like
68.
68.
68. I'm going to say the third. Oh, sorry.
Paul?
Okay, it is my turn. I'll take the first quarter. I think he'll get it quick.
68 yards. Boy, it's silly to think it would take him until the second.
But that's just what I'm going to say.
Second quarter.
You know what? I'm going to go with Hardy too. I'm going to say the Patriots come out fast, and Brady's a little bit emotional. Maybe isn't quite firing on all cylinders just out of the gate. So I'm going to say second too.
He's going to get it on the first drive.
Right.
The Patriots are going to win the flip. They're going to defer. Tom Brady's going to break it on the. It's going to be 10 minutes left in the first quarter. And you're going to break that record. Watch.
And as always, the total score 49.5.
Yeah, I am going over on this one. More explanation to come when we do our Sunday Reese's Peanut Butter Cup 2-pack, but I will go over 49.5.
I'm going to take the under on this.
Okay, the Patriots, I will take the over, but the Patriots inactives are out. It's Trent Brown, Ronnie Perkins, Jawan Williams, Juwan Bentley, Sean Wade, Ramondre Stevenson, and Devin Asiasi. So I had a premonition about that running back situation, Deuce. I said if you're going to have N'Keal Harry active, you're probably going to have Ramondre Stevenson inactive. And this is a game that you're probably not going to run the ball all that much. So maybe you do it.
Yeah,
right,
well,
so
Jawan Williams, not a little bit of a surprise there. Just some cornerback depth. So you talk about, elevating Miles Bryant. I mean, you're going to need. You have three corners, Jonathan Jones and Miles Bryant, kind of slot guys. So a little disappointing. At least Isaiah Wynn is active, but we'll see how much he's able to go. I'm not sure if his delay coming out for warmups is reflective of him having a slow start, but that's too bad. I'd like to see Stevenson, and it's just another game he's not playing. I don't know if maybe things aren't going as well behind the scenes. I would have thought after that rough first game, he would have at least gotten another chance, especially now with White being out, which makes you think that this is going to be J.J. Taylor's going to get some run tonight. I would imagine.
All right, let's go back to the phones here. 855-PATS-500. Patriots pregame show fueled by Dunkin. Now goes to New Jersey to talk to TJ. TJ, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I got a comment, a question, and an unlikely prediction.
All right.
Comments first. Deuce let me down with the 7-9 bet, 7-9 record against the spread. He's
Sorry.
moving far away from that 2 standard deviations back to just mediocrity.
I tried to stink for you. I apologize.
I'm going to start betting Paul, I think. And
that's probably the safe bet.
Question: what's your over/under on trick plays today?
Ooh,
that's a good one.
I like that. I would put the over/under at 1.5. I'd put the total at 1.5.
Yes, sir.
What do you? I'm going to go over then.
You're going over on that, and how will they come about? Who's going to run? Who's going to? So the Patriots are going to run a bunch of trick plays. Isn't it kind of incumbent upon an offense to be able to run their regular plays first, and when those stifle, that's when you go to the trick plays?
Whatever works, and apparently trick plays seem to work for us. That's all we got. So let's do it. Every play, trick play.
All right, TJ.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Unlikely prediction is
TJ, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a couple.
All right.
The unlikely prediction: Judon has a hard sack on Brady, gets called for roughing the passer, and Belichick smiles, at least on the inside.
Oh, all right. Well, there'll be a camera trained on Bill Belichick's inner smile. So, yeah, I'm sure that'll be picked up by one of those cameras. Thanks, DJ.
It's like the Grinch smile.
Yeah, it just kind of curls around at the edges. Yeah. I mean, seriously, that is part of the fun of being here tonight. We always talk about the not so well kept secret that most NFL games are better on TV at home than they are in person. This is one tonight where if you can get a view of either sideline, you watch the facial expressions of these guys, and whether it's Brady on the Bucs sideline or whether it's Bill on the Pats sideline, just to see what their reactions are and to see how they respond to some of this stuff tonight, because the game itself has the potential to not be all that entertaining. Emotionally, what's going on with these guys and how do they respond to all this stuff tonight?
I just real quick, not to go back to the injury report, but I'm just kind of surprised by Jawan Williams. He wasn't on the injury report all this week. We've been talking all about how they should maybe go defensive back heavy I thought Miles Bryant would be an addition to Joe Williams, and here in year 3 in this game not being active, it irks me a little bit.
I just wonder if they just don't feel like he's fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, but he's big and he's got so it's just surprising. And then
but you're not going to put him on Mike Evans, right? You don't trust him on Mike Evans, do you?
I don't trust him on anybody one-on-one, but I think
but I'm saying you don't really want him part of the coverage on Mike Evans. So the rest of the guys are too fast for him.
Yeah. He's just got nothing. I mean, he's just got and J.C. Jackson's he was on the injury report. So
yeah, I was a little worried about him because I'm always extra concerned about the guys that pop up on the injury report.
Yeah. And then Bentley didn't play, in the first half or the second half last week, so Jalani Tavai gets elevated. Is he kind of a run stopper guy? I mean, and sometimes you think maybe these, Bentley being out, it's going to force them maybe to play somebody like Uche a little bit. I hate getting into this mode every time. Maybe Uche, but he's hurt too. So I'm not sure how they're gonna divvy this out. But Juwan Bentley's played a ton here through the first few games, and I think it's a significant loss for them.
Let's go to William in Philadelphia. Patriots pregame show. William, you're on with Deuce and Paul and Hardy. What's up?
Hey, what's going on now?
Hey.
So here we are, the moment of truth, fellas.
Is it
Patriots versus Buccaneers?
Okay, all right. Tell me what truth will be revealed tonight.
I don't know about. Well, I don't know if I would say about truth or anything, but I will say that we need Mac to push the ball. Like, he got enough of this field goals and 3 points and all. We need touchdowns, and I don't want the defense to get tired out. They keep making plays and we keep getting like 3 points. I mean, look, we got to win this game. I mean, it's going to be hard, but I don't know. I don't know more to say about it. It's just we got to get it done.
Well, I agree that they need to push the ball a little bit more and they need to take some chances if they're going to hang with this team tonight. But so much of it is dependent on Mac's not only ability to do that with the offensive line in front of him, but the ability for these receivers to reel in those catches that are thrown to him. And that was a component to the game last week, which oddly I've forgotten big chunks of. It's not quite a lost time situation. It's more of a there is some really underwhelming aspects of that Saints game to the point where I don't remember why things just faltered for them, but I just know that there was some executable plays on offense that they just didn't execute, and that's what they need to do. You know, it's easy to say push the ball, but even when you're pushing the ball, you got to be able to catch that. You got to be able to catch, and you have to be able to convert on those. And it's a pretty simple equation. If you make mistakes in addition to what the defense is making you do, if you can't convert on the stuff that is right there for you, well, you're not going to move the ball. You're not going to score touchdowns. Just if you keep shooting yourself in the foot, then forget about it.
Yeah, well, and it's just, again, looking for this offense to make strides and identity. And I mean, I said something earlier of it looks like maybe J.J. Taylor's going to get – I don't know if J.J. Taylor's going to get shot. I mean, because they love Brandon Bolden. And unfortunately, I don't think Brandon Bolden brings much plus offensive playmaking. And, we had our guest talking about screens, about quick passes. Without James White, without the ability to run the screen game, effectively, I just don't know how good. We saw with Brandon Bolden last week, there wasn't much doing there when they gave the ball to him. So does Damian Harris have a big game in him tonight? Because I think he's got a huge load on his shoulders. If they're not willing to go to J.J. Taylor, they didn't dress Asiasi to try to maybe. So we talked about, do they need something new? It seems like we're kind of going towards the same old.
I think you're going to see a lot of spread out formations tonight, and some without even any back on the field. I think you're going to see a lot. I don't think that they feel like they can run the ball effectively against Tampa, and I don't like the idea of the short throws with the backs on their linebackers. I think it needs to be the wide receivers making some plays tonight. You need to have Aguilar, Bourne, and Myers win against their fourth and fifth corners who are playing. Correct. One of which was not even on a team on Wednesday. Like, they need to win those battles. If they're going to move the ball and score some points tonight, that's how it has to be. But Sue and Vea in the middle, I don't think you're going to run the ball effectively enough against them to shorten the game, quote unquote.
And the thing that gives me some hope, Paul, is the idea that Aguilar and Henry and Harry would be able to create some separation against those guys and just get open. Catching the ball, we'll jump off that bridge when we get to it.
You got to figure they're going to be back, right? They don't want to get beat over the top. They've been under siege, for 3 weeks. You should be able to pitch and catch for 10, 12-yard gains.
Let's go to Nick Baby Love joining us now on the Patriots Pregame Show. Nick, what's happening, my friend?
Thank you, Hardy, for covering. How about them Red Sox?
All right. Yes. Paul clued me in. He let me know what was going on. Tuesday night, Yankees.
Bring on those punks, those fugazis from New York.
Yes.
Bring them on.
Yes.
If they don't win, I'll go beat them. So, as far as tonight, remember I told you last week,
screw the Sox.
Mr. North Shore there, Perillo, and, of course, my Holy Cross guy, D-Train. I told you about the record. They should have beat New Orleans because, seriously, they got as much chance as General Custer to beat Tom Brady tonight. He wants this badly. And the only thing I really care about, it's going to be a close game. But, with the Patriots, is Belichick ever going to make the playoffs again? Because he's going to be 1-4. He's not going to win the game tonight, and he's not going to beat Buffalo. And so the point,
but they don't play Buffalo for a while.
The point I'm making is what I care. I'm trying to talk to Patriots Nation now on behalf of this excellent show, the number one show as far as I'm concerned, from a guy who is older and has never missed a game since 1960, since I was a very young man, 6 years old, whatever. The bottom line, is the fans. I hope they're cheering the entire game because it's a fact now, and I will go up against anybody that this guy was the franchise. He made Belichick. He made Mr. Kraft because they put a Band-Aid on this, and that's why they're in the position they're in now. They got bad salaries, the whole 9 yards. Mac Jones is going to be very, very good, but I'm just telling you, yes, it's going to be a close game, but, let's respect Tom Brady. Come on.
Well, Nick.
Tired of the noise, Hardy.
No, Nick, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate the call. Always good to hear from you. I think there's going to be a lot of love shown to Tom Brady tonight. We already know about the video that they're going to play pregame. It's a 1-minute video. It's going to happen pregame. We talked about this a lot in the weeks leading up to this, whether it would be somehow during the game. I said there's no way they're going to show a Tom Brady, any Tom Brady pouring up on that huge screen in the south end zone while the game is going on. It's going to be pregame. Get to your seats early if you want to see it. That's when it's going to happen. People are going to cheer Tom Brady. You're going to hear, I think, a few jeers in there, but for the most part, overwhelming reception for Tom Brady when he gets out onto that field. After that, do you think it's important for fans to be respectful of the opposing quarterback tonight here at Gillette Stadium?
No, and I think what I respect and love about Tom Brady the most is how competitive he is, and I think that's what every Patriot fan who's rooted for him over 20 years understands, that he's coming here to kill the Patriots, and I respect that about him. And by the same token, the Patriots have to bring that same energy. They have to match that level of competitiveness, and that's, I think, at the core of what has made Tom Brady so great, that here he is in year 20 whatever, he's still kind of got this chip on his shoulder like the 6th-round pick that nobody believes in, and that's who he is. That's part of him, and why we love him and for who he was. And that's why when it becomes game time, he understands we're not rooting for him. He understands we want to beat him, and just like we understand what he's trying to do to the Patriots. So I think it's going to be fun, but I think the fans will be overwhelmingly positive, and I don't think they'll get on them during the game.
Well, I think especially before the game starts, I think it's going to be an unbelievable love fest. And then once the game starts, Patriots fans will be rooting for the Patriots.
Okay,
I don't think they're going to be rooting necessarily for Brady to get hurt. Or
No. But will it be
kill him?
Will
or
it be
like
a proper hostile environment that would be shown to any opposing quarterback in a packed house? Will they be loud when the Bucs are on offense? Are they going
to start the game? Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be.
It all depends on how the game goes from there.
Right. I think that's the evolution of the audience tonight, of how they watch this game and how the game unfolds, and what section of the fan base is emboldened by how the game is unfolding to make themselves heard.
Sometimes the crowd turns in the middle of and there was a boxing match years ago. It took place in the Soviet Union on Christmas Day. And it was, a Soviet fighter
East versus West
going up against an American fighter, and the crowd is obviously very much in favor. Drago, I believe, was the fighter's name.
Ivan.
And by the end of the fight, the crowd was actually cheering for the American boxer.
If he could change, everybody can change. I think
Everybody
was the
can
message from that, and now tonight maybe
was that
we'll see
was
it.
that the post-match quote?
If I remember correctly.
If
yes.
yous can change, I can change.
Anybody.
Everybody can change.
Correct.
Yes.
What do you mean there was
perfectly? You walked right into it.
There was good
fighters, by hell.
They
You
wasn't
ain't
like-
been hungry since you won that belt.
They ain't like this guy. He'll knock you to the
mark.
rock. They should retire.
Yeah, that was previous fight.
A man of war retired. They put him out to stud.
Clubber Lang 2, I think, was not Clubber Lang 1, Clubber Lang 2.
Yeah, we're mixing up.
Yeah.
Rocky 3 versus Rocky
Thank
4.
you. Yeah.
By the way, props to Joey Knight for getting all of
He got
those
them all right.
all those movies. And Real Genius, I don't think I've ever seen, but I know a lot of people are very much in the Val Kilmer Real Genius camp as opposed to Weird Science.
Yeah.
They find that to be a superior
I was
film.
giving you props for coming up with an impromptu quiz right off
Oh,
the
did you like that?
Yes, and they were very, I thought it was very well done.
I had to think about it for a second.
They were comps.
I had to think for the 16
Science themes?
Well, 16 Candles.
John Hughes themes?
John Hughes themes. And for 16 Candles, I almost went 16 Candles are Pretty in Pink, but that's a landslide for 16
yeah,
Candles.
Yeah.
But the more, if you want to get cerebral about it, maybe you'd go Breakfast Club over 16 Candles. I would not. I go 16 Candles.
No, not even a choice for me.
And Rocky 3, I've
Rocky
probably
3 is
seen that movie.
far superior.
Probably seen that movie more than any other movie. It was on a loop on HBO when I was about 12 years old, and
I
we
think
watched it.
Rocky 5 is the only Rocky that's worse than Rocky 4.
Yeah,
the ones at the end.
Wasn't there one like Rocky Balboa?
That was better than Rocky 5.
I tell you about the Rocky
Tommy Gunn?
the Rocky Balboa fight. That's the one they shot with the actual HBO fight cameras set up at the MGM Grand one night, and it's got a cool feel to it to the ending fight scene.
Tommy something he was a real boxer too. I think that they got that.
No,
that
that
guy,
was
Tommy.
I don't know what his name was. I believe he was Mason the Line Dixon was the fighter in Rocky Balboa.
No, that's 5.
No,
Mason the Line Dixon is 5.
No, that's Tommy Gunn.
Oh, you're right.
I know I'm right.
You want me to, do I have to pay you? Do I have to get on my?
Mason,
I said.
the Line
Let me repeat what I said. I said, you are right.
You want me to shout it all over this airport?
Correct.
You won,
Correct.
Jack.
You
You
won.
won. Serrano's got the discs.
Serrano's got
Now
the
we're just
discs.
everywhere.
Serrano's got the discs.
They could have named that character anything. And how about Mason the Line Dixon? Does that sound like a boxing name? That's like what? Just do better. I don't know. Come on.
But then it gets too cute, like Hannibal Lecter. Really, his first name rhymed with cannibal. That seems a little too convenient. And I like Thomas Harris. I like those movies. So you can't get too cute with it.
That's how they should take Brady out tonight. Like roll him out like the Hannibal Lecter, just kind of in case, and they bring him right out.
What do they do? So they're going to stop. This is what they said. They're going to pause the game. This is how it's been communicated to us. They will pause the game if and when Tom Brady breaks Drew Brees' passing yards record.
Briefly, and evidently,
what does that mean?
Brady nor the Patriots wanted to stop the game, according to the Twitter. And the NFL insisted on stopping it briefly.
Okay, so what are they going to do?
I don't know. With that, he just broke the record. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't like baseball. We talked about this during the week. Baseball has natural breaks. Football doesn't. It's stupid. You shouldn't stop the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta go.
Oh, all right. Paulie Paul is stepping out.
I like it because hopefully it'll be. I mean, it will obviously be after a completed pass by the Bucs. So that's a good time to get a little timeout. Let Tom have his moment in the sun. Maybe we can break the momentum a little bit. So
Are they going to bring him out? They brought Drew Brees out a sheet of paper.
Oh yeah.
It's
a certificate. Is it notarized?
It was an 8.5 by 11 thing. It wasn't quite as bad as Will Chamberlain's. Like here, let's say I can recreate it right here. The one they gave to Wilt in the locker room.
I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just held that up. That was how they commemorated his 100-point game.
Well, what I've been laughing about is they've been talking about this week, and we've talked a little bit before about the voice up in the press box that announces play-by-play. So I know all that we're going to get is With that pass, Tom Brady. You're gonna. That's what I'm gonna hear. I already know how it's gonna be. We will not break for that. Oh, I think someone's trying to pass you a note right here through the door. Matt LePan sticking his hand through.
It's like Thing from the Addams Family. What the hell? All right, we're doing this now? Okay.
Very cool.
Paul Perillo stepped out apparently to interview Rodney Harrison. Who knew? All right, well, he didn't even tell us where he was going. He just stepped out, but Paul Perillo now with former Patriot Rodney Harrison on the Patriots Pregame Show.
Thanks, Hardy. Rodney, I got to ask you right off the top, and I know that you loved this role. You loved the underdog role. Even when you weren't really the underdogs, you used to yell at me and tell me you were the underdogs. What's going on in the locker room right now? What is Bill talking about? What is the message?
Well, basically, I think the message started Monday. Ignore the circus is coming to town. Ignore all the hype. Don't answer questions for someone else, and just focus on your job. And trust me, the first 3 games we've seen the Patriots, they haven't played up to par, and they have to do a better job of focusing on getting better offense, defense, special teams. So I think that was the message to the team.
You know, as a guy that went against Tom Brady a lot in practice on defense, I think you in particular, you, Vrabes, Teddy Brew, you like to get under his skin a little bit, maybe use his emotions against them. Can the Patriots maybe try to use some of that emotion against them on a night like tonight?
Well, it has to be execution. You have to execute. You have to, make his life miserable. You have to hit him. You have to try to confuse him. Yeah, everyone talks about Tom seeing everything, but at the same time, he still has to come to the line of scrimmage, process what everyone's doing, and try to figure it out on the go. So Tom's one of those guys where he's going to fight you tooth and nail, and you got to hit him. You got to hit him again. And the teams that we've seen had success against Tom are teams that have been able to get in his face, pressure him, and make him uncomfortable. And I think that's what Coach Belichick's going to do.
Okay, so it makes sense that those are some of the things they want to try to do. Now, with the Patriots defense, the specific personnel, he doesn't have Rodney Harrison. He doesn't have Teddy Bruschi.
He brought in Matthew Judon, and that's a guy that he needs to play. He got paid a lot of money to come in here and be that difference maker. He's been good. He hasn't been great. Mm-hmm. So, if you want your defense, you look at the guys that you paid, whether on offense or defense, and you need those guys to really elevate their game and step up. This is when you need those guys. This is why you pay those guys that type of money, Paul.
Okay, so he got that money. Do you maybe move him around a little bit tonight? Maybe try to get him up the middle, do that stuff that you talked about?
Absolutely. I would do all that. I would move him around. I would just, because when you move a player around like a Micah Parsons, it makes him feel like, okay, I'm a special player, and I have to be able to make plays, whether I'm playing defense and linebacker, whether I'm right over the center. But, yeah, I would definitely move Matthew around. The Baltimore Ravens did it, move him around, get him into the game, and see if he can come up with a game-changing play.
Okay, real quick, I just want to ask you real quick about the offense. What do they have to do? What does Mac Jones have to do tonight to stay in this game? Because you got to figure it's going to take some points. You're not winning this game 13-10.
McDaniels. It's not just Mac. It starts with Josh McDaniels. He has to understand he's not going to run consistently against this defense. So he's going to have to open it up, and now we're talking rain. I just looked. It said 80% of rain at 10 o'clock tonight, and that could, obviously alter the game plan. But I would say, yeah, let Mac come out. Sometimes hurry up offense, no huddle, and just see what he can do. So, because when that happens, the defense feels like, okay, we can't blitz because we want to make sure that our calls are all kind of a vanilla call, So it really affects the defense. It puts you on your heels, and it takes away a little of your aggressiveness as a defense.
All right, appreciate it, Rodney. Back to you guys, Hardy.
All right, thank you very much. Rodney Harrison, he's good. He knows what he's talking about.
I like it.
I enjoyed his parts as much as Paul's.
Paul's pretty good, though.
Paul's okay.
He's all right.
I just, Rodney was real good.
That is the Rodney Harrison right there.
Thanks for telling us where you were going, Paul. He just got up and left, and the next thing I know.
He's out there with Rodney Harrison.
Talking to Rodney Harrison. What? I mean, next time, you know what? Invite him in here.
Right.
That would have been fine.
Yeah.
Would you have Rodney Harrison here in our studio?
Yeah. Well, Joey Knight came in.
Yeah.
Too good for us?
That's fine.
Fine, Rodney.
Don't worry about it. All right. So that's an interesting notion, though. If the rain comes in later on tonight, and that's when maybe you let Mac Jones kind of get after it a little bit. Offense knows where they're going. Defense doesn't know. Field gets a little slick. Yeah. It's an idea.
We saw it against the Ravens last year when it seemed like just as the Ravens needed a comeback drive, the heavens open. We got the the weather machine back there, which I don't know if you're allowed back there, but yeah, it's the secret weather machine. We crank that sucker up, when you need a big drive. So maybe we got it fired up tonight. But I literally like the no huddle. I like that. I think Mac that's been some of the best work he's done in any situation over the summer and through the first few games when you've seen him, especially in the preseason games when they come out in the second half and they be no huddle. And I think it kind of fits the game plan of trying to get it out quick, trying to attack the corners in space and force them to tackle. We tease a little bit about N'Keal Harry, but I mean, hey, let's make Richard Sherman tackle N'Keal Harry in space and when it's a little bit wet out. I mean, he's a big dude. So I think that they have some matchups that they can potentially try to exploit through that with no huddle and going quick and getting them on their heels and trying to tire them out. Villa doesn't. He's not going to be one to run down the field. So
I tell you what, I'd go after Richard Sherman all night if he's going to be out there a ton. This guy hasn't played.
Yeah.
And that. The only reason why they're playing him tonight is they need him. They need the body.
Right, and you wonder too if he's got to be thrown right in there. Is that a hamstring situation? This guy had no training camp. I mean, he's had 3 practices.
And I got a lot of respect for Richard Sherman and what he did in his time in Seattle. But to think that he can go in now and be a top-tier replacement for a defending Super Bowl championship team, it's asking too much of him or anyone else.
Yeah, and I think he was always playing in that Seattle system, and it went over into San Francisco, but a lot of zone. I mean, he's known as a zone corner. So I think when the Patriots guys have trouble separating, getting away from man coverage, against these teams that can get up and press them, and they saw some real good corners last week, Lattimore with the Saints. So I think if Tampa is forced to play a little bit more zone coverage, I think that could be favorable for the Patriots, especially, just finding holes. I think they have smart guys like Jacoby Myers who, has that ability to see what the play is post-snap and to find the holes and sit down and hopefully, just start to build some confidence and some momentum with the offense. We just haven't seen it. It's been fits and starts and a little bit here and a little bit there, but you just have never felt like, wow, we seem like the offense is really rolling right now.
All right. You're welcome to jump back on the phones here, 855-PATS-500. Going to get to all your emails, too, here at webradio@patriots.com. We'll go to Kenny in New York. Kenny, you're on the Patriots Pregame Show with Hardy and Deuce. What's up?
Hey, guys. Long-time listener, first-time calling in. So I just had I'll keep it short and sweet because I know you guys got a lot going on. But so first things first, I totally agree. If we win tonight, it would be a very a springboard win for us. But do you guys? Maybe you guys already talked about it. But if we lose and we lose bad, what would you think would that be? I think it would be a very negative impact on the rest of our season, or at least the next upcoming games. If you think about the next month. And then my other thing I really just want to see tonight. I don't think we're going to win tonight, but at least as a fan, I know you guys touched on it earlier. I just want to see them come out and play possessed. Just come out and just play hard. Don't beat yourself. Don't get the stupid penalties. I mean, coaching should be also good. I mean, last week having 10 players on the field, come on.
Kenny, I'm with you, and it speaks to I think all of our keys for this game,
but especially mine.
Don't get embarrassed, not only just for tonight, but for the impact that it could have on the rest of the season. I mean, you put yourself in a big emotional spot here tonight. All these players, they want to win for Tom Brady. The guy from Tampa said they've been saying it all week. I'm sure there's a fair number of guys on this team who want to win this one for Bill tonight. So let's do that. Let's not have things go the other way with a really debilitating loss and send the wrong message throughout the locker room for the rest of the season. And in terms of the playing hard and getting after it, fast and loose. That's what you said, Deuce.
Yeah, I do think it's not defined by win or loss tonight. I think that there are a loss tonight that can be positive and hey, we look like they made some strides and they made some plays and they were within striking distance or something like that. But if it continues to look flat and uninspired and penalties and turnovers and some of the sloppy mistakes that have really shown up here in the first 3 weeks, which have been the most surprising thing I think of their performance, then I think that this could be very negative reaction. Even though it is a Week 4 loss to the NFC South, I think there's a lot of style points tonight. I think whether it's a win, whether it's depending on how the game unfolds.
Well, I think that's the most important thing. The Patriots have to worry about how they play. They need to play better than they have so far, and that would be the first step. Win, lose, or draw. I mean, that would be the first step. Play better football.
I agree. Now, while you were out interviewing Rodney Harrison, apparently, thank you for that, Paul. You did a great job.
The timing worked out perfect. It was like you ducked out, talked to Rodney, and came right back.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, Rodney was very good, too. Normally, I'm just a fan of you, but I thought Rodney had made a lot of good points.
Not a lot of screen time for you, though, Paul, on that interview.
No.
It's a one-camera shoot.
Yeah, it was done very quickly in the studio, sort of behind the regular part of the studio.
Which
but
leads me to believe
I
that
did get a big hug from Rodney, which I enjoyed.
the reaction shot of
Rodney.
you crying. I'm going to have to see the original footage. Wait a second. Did you piece that in afterward?
Wait a minute. I can do it again.
Okay. A William Hurt reference. I believe that is the first on the Patriots.
Paul, you
pregame
brought
show.
it up.
I know, but I mean, you took it to the next level. That was great.
What happens when your real life exceeds your expectations?
Keep it to yourself. Richard Sherman on the field tonight for the Buccaneers. I think you should go after him all game long. Guy hasn't played.
I know it seems counterintuitive. You have a guy making his 4th career start under these bright lights, and you say you got to put it in his hands. I think there's one of two things going to happen, okay? And I recognize they're two diametrically opposite, but either he's going to throw the ball really well 40 or 50 times and keep you in the game, or it's going to be an abject disaster, and he's going to get sacked 5 times, turn the ball over 3 more times, and you're going to get blown out.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to run on 1st down and run on 2nd down and throw on 3rd and 8, you're going to get blown out. It's just going to take longer, and it might look better along the way, but the result is going to be the same.
But throw it over to wherever Richard Sherman is. Try him out. See how he is.
I agree.
Well,
I'm with you, Hardy. Carlton Davis is banged up, and he's out there. Now, he's a pretty good corner. He hasn't been the problem for the Bucs. They don't generally throw at him. But if he's banged up, test him, too. See how healthy he is.
All right, back to the phones. We got him loaded up here with Alex in New York. Alex, you're on the Patriots pregame show. Hardy, Deuce, and Paul. What's up, Alex?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, Alex.
Hi. I'm kind of taking a very Matthew Judon approach to this game because I'm trying not to buy into the hype. I'm just kind of taking this is the next game on our schedule approach. So I listened to like the comments he made across the week, and so that's kind of my approach to this game. I'm kind of just not buying into any of this Brady, Belichick. I'm really looking at it as like this is the next game on our schedule, and I just really kind of I want to try to watch this game from just the how are we going to get better approach, and I refuse. I just utterly refuse to buy into any of this hype. So because I just won't do it.
Well, you're missing out on all the fun, I'm afraid, because all the fun is in the hype of this game.
Yeah.
I just want to see them get better, and I think in a way, because all the attention has been on Brady and Belichick and none of it has been on Mac, I think it's kind of a good thing for Mac because I think it takes some of the pressure off of him, and it's given him a chance to like kind of not get into his head because he does get really hard on himself, and I'm hoping to see him. That's why I really kind of want to watch him tonight, although the inactives tonight made me a little bit nervous, and I'm a little bit concerned that it's going to be a hard night for him. But I do have one question. So now that Harry's back off of the IR, not just about tonight, but tonight and going forward, especially because I'm so disappointed that Stevenson's inactive. I don't know why. I have like a sweet spot for him. But what do you see as his future on this team? Obviously, with the trade rumors and everything. But let's say he doesn't have a good night tonight, and he doesn't do anything tonight. Like, what is his role on this team, especially since they have all these problems on offense? Like, what do you see for him? I guess is my question.
Deuce?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could tell you that I feel encouraged or that he's gonna suddenly get it and be an impactful player. I know a lot of other people who watched training camp came away thinking he did things that I didn't really see in training camp. It continues to look the same for me. I think he did have a few plays this preseason, but nothing that made me think that he's changed his game or that he's going to waltz out there tonight and have a huge game and catch a bunch of balls. I think he's going to be around the team the rest of the year. I think he'll be in and out of how much he plays, how much of a role he plays, maybe if guys get hurt a little more, if he's not playing well, a little less, and then I think they might move on from him next offseason.
I expect him to be traded by the deadline. I expect him to play a couple of games, and I think if Bill Belichick gets his way, maybe he gets him a couple of catches, shows everybody in the league he's healthy, and it makes it look like, well, we got 3 guys ahead of him but he's fine. He's here. Make us an offer. Maybe you can get a late round pick for him.
That's my hope. I'm hoping that they show that he's healthy so they can get rid of him.
I think that's why he's active tonight.
All right, Alex.
Because
Thanks
I
for the
don't
call.
see him taking snaps away from the top 3. Now, I think Gunnar has had maybe 10 total snaps offensively in the 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're all because something happens to one of the. I think Aguilar has been dealing with something physically here and there, and has missed a play here or there, and that's when Gunnar goes in. I don't think he's getting in over those 3 guys, barring an injury.
Yeah, see, Gunnar played 11, 5, 16 in the first 3 games, offensive snaps. So
he played 16 offensive snaps in a game
against New Orleans. Yep.
Well, that was all in a blowout then. Not when the game was competitive in any way.
Steve in Indianapolis has something that would help the Patriots tonight. What is that, Steve?
Yeah, I was just wondering, why did the Patriots get rid of Sony Michel, who, by the way, is having a good year with the Rams? I know that they had the feeling in preseason that they were pretty much loaded up in the backfield. Now we don't have anything.
Well,
I'll wait for your comments.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Steve. One of the reasons why he's having a good year with the Rams is they have a passing game where they have to.
He's doing nothing.
Yeah. He's not. Oh, I didn't even know.
He's doing absolutely nothing. He's barely playing.
Okay. Well, if anyone who's having a good running game with the Rams this year, I would chalk up in part to them having a legitimate passing attack, and
he has 34.
You got to respect the run.
He has 34 carries for 126 yards for a 3.7 yard average. So he's not doing anything with the Rams. 3 catches for 12 yards.
Okay.
And there we go with warm-ups. There is Tom Brady.
There we go.
Just ran in, they cut to Bolden.
I was going to say, all I see is Brandon Bolden. I see enough of him.
His old buddy. It seems like Brandon Bolden's waiting for him. He knows the spot. Offense. Yeah.
I know this is the Patriots pregame show, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing some other players out there.
Jogging on the field, Brady, by all reports, has received a nice greeting from the fans.
Mm-hmm. No Jay-Z.
Loud applause from the. My guess is he did not go onto the field to that.
But
there's your boy right there, right?
JJ, I guess. Well, and in regard to that, I mean, I think it's a good question because when they traded Sony Michel, you kind of thought, well, they must really like Stevenson or JJ Taylor, or they feel like they got some guys. They've always had good depth at running back, and it seems like kind of team policy. We need a bunch of guys there because guys are going to get hurt. And then Stevenson fumbles and blows a pass protection, and now he's inactive for 3 games. And J.J. Taylor can despite doing everything, leading the team in all-purpose yardage, returning punts, kickoffs, everything in the preseason, he can't even get a sniff now, really, other than compared to what he got even last year. So I'm a little bit confused by how exactly they see all this. It doesn't seem like a formula for success to me to ride Damian Harris on early downs and have Brandon Bolden as the fill-in. And, well, I guess if we have to put J.J. Taylor in at some point, we will.
Watching the warm-ups right now, what can you tell about the warm-ups? What can you tell us about the game based on what you see in the warm-ups here, Paul?
I see a lot of Brady chants evidently going on the field right now. So if that's an indication of the love-in that's going to happen, I think, prior to the game.
Now's the time. Get it out.
Yeah, because I don't think you're going to hear. I don't think you're going to hear any of that during when the game starts, unless the second half and the Bucs are just in control. Yeah. Then I think you'll hear a lot of that.
Yeah, we were breaking down the different Brady chants this week.
Yeah, you'll get a
Brady.
Not if it's like the fourth quarter and the Patriots win. If the Patriots pull off the upset, you're going to get the different Brady.
Yes.
Or you're going to get the Belichick. You can get that one. I don't know.
Here's something that hasn't been talked about at all this week, and I'm not being facetious on this one. We talked about how Mac Jones hasn't been mentioned, how that could be good for him. In terms of getting ready for this game, Bruce Arians not part of the conversation,
right?
Is that good for him and bad for the Patriots? That you're leaving me out of this conversation entirely? Watch this.
The only thing I saw with him in this,
here comes
Mac
the man.
Jones.
Mac the man.
Comes onto the field, and they're saying Brady.
Mac.
With Arians, the only time that I thought he popped up briefly was, I think it was Wednesday when Belichick was asked by Bob Sosey about the offense that
Tom is running,
and he said, does it look like what you ran here? Does it look like the stuff that you're familiar with? 100%. It's everything. We know everything. It's all the stuff that he was doing. He had the flares and the protect everything. It's the same offense. And Bruce Arians, I believe, was asked about that on Thursday, and he didn't like that. He took some offense to that. And I think Bill must have heard that and kind of backtracked a little bit. I thought he pulled back on that late in the week.
All right. Well, we're going to keep the camera on the warm-ups here as we step aside for a moment on the Patriots pregame show. Thanks to Bridgestone.
Real quick, Mac Jones also received a nice ovation when he came on the field, according to those on Twitter.
There you go. Thanks to Bridgestone. Now through November 3rd, buy 4 Bridgestone tires and get $70 off instantly at any Sullivan Tire. Bridgestone, official tire of the New England Patriots. Visit sullivantire.com for details.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
That looks awful. Football's back and it's time to go big. Pepsi pulled pork sandwiches are game day greatness. Now we're ready for game day. Check out some more awesome recipes on madeforpatriotswatching.com.
Johnny, euphonic. Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
You're speaking about it and not letting it ruminate. Not sure I'm using that word correctly.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Let it simmer. Take it all in.
Man, we're coming up on it, aren't we?
Warm-ups on the field. That's or as one of our callers said, the moment of truth. So what truth will be revealed? I mean, honestly, a Patriots upset tonight and a win, it'd be great for Belichick. It'd be great for the team. Let them know that now, okay, hey, guess what? You're 4 games in, you're 2-2, and you just beat the defending Super Bowl champions in a game that their quarterback wanted to win more desperately than any regular season game maybe he's ever played. So that tells you something about your team and what you can do. If it goes the other way, and when I say the other way, I don't mean a loss, I mean a blowout loss. I don't know that it changes things dramatically for this season, but it certainly puts into stark perspective where you are in terms of the league and how much work you need to do.
Absolutely, and that would be what would be most disconcerting of just, and I think especially, again, just to hammer this, like the sloppy play, the turnovers, the hurting yourself. It's just like I can deal with a lot of things in terms of a loss with a young quarterback and, you know, a team that's still kind of trying to find themselves, but it's just the unacceptable stuff or the self-inflicted wounds, and that's just what, at the very bare minimum, I think that those are the things that need to be eliminated by week 4 in the NFL season.
Back to the phones, Bruce and Marlboro on the Patriots pregame show. Hello, Bruce. Bryce. Sorry, I substituted a vowel for you there.
This is
Bryce. Bryce and Marlboro. Go ahead.
Fingers and now tongue-tied.
And he's not there anyway. Something about
call waiting.
Something about the perfect storm.
I was interested in that. Call back, Bryce.
Yeah, something about the perfect storm,
yeah.
and I was going to bring up the fact that Rodney Harrison said, "Hey, if that weather comes in around 10 o'clock tonight, and then McCorkle can maybe start airing it out a little bit. Offense knows where they're going, defense doesn't. The problem is it works on the other side of the ball too.
Well, can I just say this about the weather?
Yeah, you say whatever you want.
Who do you got in bad weather?
I like Brady's.
I mean, probably the greatest quarterback of all time.
But not just the greatest quarterback of all time, because if it was like Peyton
in weather.
Manning,
right?
I would say
a guy who's won more games in the weather in this.
If it was Drew Brees, I would say, that's an equalizer. That's an equalizer for Mac Jones. I don't know if he could play in the weather, but I know Drew Brees can't. Tom Brady is the best bad weather quarterback I've ever seen.
Well, he's just real good. He's a real good across the board.
There's like a couple of things that bother him. High extreme wind and extreme heat. Like the only conditions that I've seen him be affected by. I've seen him play in rain, snow. Like it doesn't matter. Bad weather isn't going to bother him.
Kendrick Bourne getting his dance moves.
And
out.
I also say, like, it's Tampa Bay, right? So it's a Florida team.
Yeah.
But it's even if it's raining, it's not cold. It's a really nice night. So it's not like they're coming in to play in bad weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do. I understand.
Harry, number one.
CJ in Kansas City on with us now. Hello, CJ.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
Hey.
Got a quick question for you guys. So I saw the inactives, and another week without Stevenson, Jimmy White probably out for the year. Are we gonna see him back in action again? Or
White?
Yeah, my guess is,
I saw,
and this might just be
not White. I meant Stevenson. Are we ever gonna see Stevenson in action again on the field?
Yeah, this might be.
Is he like done?
Go ahead, Paul.
This could be complete speculation on our part, but I think Stevenson's inactive tonight because they're not going to run the ball against Tampa Bay very much. I can't imagine you're going to run the ball more than 20 times tonight. And I don't think you need two backs to do that.
No.
I think you can get the carries between – if Damian Harris gets between 10 and 15 carries, I think that's probably ambitious. And then you can get a handful of carries for J.J. Taylor. In that third down role, hopefully over Brandon Bolden. I don't think you need to have 20 carries for Harris and 10 more for your 1B, like in the opener when you were going to run the ball 30-plus times. I don't think you're going to do that tonight against Tampa Bay.
I like it.
Brian in Indiana. What do you got for us, Brian?
Hey, guys. I wanted to throw out a name we haven't heard for a while. I want to start off by saying I like Mac Jones. I think he's going to be a great quarterback eventually. But how do you think things would be different tonight if Cam Newton were still around and still starting? Do you think that people would still be like, the record's the same, the games went the same way? Do you think people would still be like, yeah, the Patriots, we're with them all the way?
I just think there's a certain energy about having a first-round rookie quarterback that even if Cam was here and you were 2-1, I'd probably rather be 1-2 with Mac. I just think for the long term, what are you building towards? And I don't think it will be all that different. We watched Cam all summer. He looked a little bit better, but maybe he would have gotten you one more win. But at what cost and at what payoff down at the end? It's that for me is
the ceiling.
I'd rather
Brian.
put the time in with Mac Jones right now and take your lumps with a rookie quarterback and let him develop and hope that his ceiling will surpass anything that we might have seen with Cam.
I agree with that. 100%. I think Cam would have been booed coming out on the field here.
I don't at all.
No,
I think that's completely off.
I
agree
surprised.
I agree with Mike that I feel better right now because Mac Jones is the quarterback and not Cam Newton, because I feel like they're building towards something. And if they had the same record, everything was the same with Cam Newton, I'd feel like it's a wasted season. But tonight, the game would have no difference to me with Cam Newton.
That
here.
run defense, he's going to have to throw it.
You're going to have to score points to win. I get that. I'm more excited about watching Mac Jones than Cam Newton, and for that reason, I'm glad that it worked out the way it did.
Yeah.
But the Patriots fans would be just as into this game if Cam Newton were playing. They just wouldn't feel good about the long term.
Yeah.
And Brian, the
big picture would not be good.
Don't think that there's a lot of venom before, and I think Cam did benefit from not having.
He's not here anymore.
The venom.
If Cam Newton was the backup, people would be calling for Cam Newton.
Right.
There would be people in the locker room calling for Cam Newton.
Okay, good. Now I understand what you're saying. I think he did benefit from not having to play in front of fans last year, so we don't know for sure. But there's still enough love for Cam Newton, for the guy, for what he was. Not for what he is, and certainly for not for what anyone thinks he will be, because if anyone thought he had something left beyond what he's shown, then he'd have a job right now. So it's not that. It's just the guy. And people love the guy, and he wasn't going to get booed tonight. I don't think he – we talked about it. It's like, oh, they're lucky there aren't fans in the stands. I don't know. That Cam Newton love was real.
You're right, and I think that's where some of there's a misperception of what Cam Newton was on social media and how he was received on social media compared to how he was out at practice when he would get huge cheers every time he would come out.
This is my point. People wouldn't be booing him.
And I think that he played last season without any fans. I think that the fans would have embraced him had he had a chance here. I mean, there'll always be concerns about performance. But
on-field performance gets booed. They got roundly booed last week. Mac Jones got booed last week. Now, you could say that it wasn't Mac Jones wasn't the object of the boos, but they got booed last week.
As an offense, yeah.
Because they did nothing offensively. And if Cam Newton was doing the same thing, they would be getting booed. But Mike is right.
They wouldn't be booing on pregame.
And at practice, when he came on the field, that was the only discernible noise that you heard throughout training camp was when he arrived at practice every day.
All right, let's go to the emails here. We haven't really gotten to any of these yet so far, so we got a bunch to get to here. This is from Cody in Indiana. Do you think there's a chance Brady will get confused because Jawan Bentley is wearing the number 8?
Well, he's out, so.
Nope, not going to happen.
But maybe if you can confuse it with Judon and number 9.
What is that? What's 9 doing out there? This isn't right.
On a more serious note, if we could look into the future and see the Patriots won this game on the back of one player, who would that player be? That's a good question, Cody. I like that one. So, looking in the future, the Patriots end up winning the game thanks to one guy. Who's that one guy tonight?
I don't know how it couldn't be Mac Jones, based on how I think Tampa's going to score. I think the Patriots would have to score, at least 20 points. I mean, more than they've scored before. So, unless it was just Tom Brady throwing pick 6 left and right and they can't do anything else, I think it would have to be Mac Jones.
Probably.
James,
you could pick a receiver.
James Pettigrew says, we cannot win. Tampa can only lose. And I always unexpected the expected. That's just...
It's very, very deep.
It's pretty good. Hello, friends.
That's why he's the world's most interesting Patriots fan.
Yeah, is this Jim Nance? Hello, friends. For the Patriots to win the game tonight, are there any players you feel must end up on the good list in the postgame show? Yeah. Thanks, Travis in West Virginia. Nick Folk, he's going to have to be on the good list. Can't miss any field goals.
You better hope that he's irrelevant if you're going to win this game.
No,
but,
I have factors.
Aguilar.
Judon.
Bourne, Aguilar, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. The pass catchers need to have a big game tonight.
All right. Tight ends from Johnny in Germany. Hey, guys.
Johnny in Germany.
This is an email from me. Hope you guys are fine. Johnny's messing with us. My wife and I were blessed with a small baby girl, so an upcoming Patriots fan, none of this double jersey stuff. Is this the game of 2 tight ends today? Hope we'll get a good football game and not totally get destroyed. Cheers, Johnny.
I don't think so. I mean, it very well could be, but I think that the advantage with the 2 tight ends is kind of going back and forth between running and passing and choosing what you want to do and forcing the defense to match up with you. I think, as Paul has laid out very well, I think it's a passing game, and I think there's no real question of lining up, spreading out, put Harry 3 receivers, work Harry in as another receiver, and I think that, at least logically, makes the most sense to me rather than trying to fake power with your 2 tight ends, because it's ultimately going to come down to running up the middle, and those guys are just beasts. And unless you really believe that you can move those 2 big boys in the middle, it seems like running into a wall.
All right, we're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we'll do our Reese's Peanut Butter Cups Sunday 2-pack, get to some more emails, maybe one more call. I see George in Puerto Rico is on the line, so we'll get to you, too, here on the Patriots Pregame Show.
That looks awful. Football's back, and it's time to go big. Pepsi pulled pork sandwiches are game day greatness. Now we're ready for game day. Check out some more awesome recipes on madeforpatriotswatching.com.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
I wish they would come back. I would love a fanny pack.
It's a great place to put your phone.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Do you guys care about the passing yards record?
Not really.
Paul?
Not a lick.
Not a lick.
Not a lick. It has nothing to do with bitterness. Like, I'm not playing Deuce's side of the street saying, like, let him break it to someone else. Like,
what's the number?
It's 80-something thousand.
I know, and again,
that's a lot of yards.
In order to care about a record, you have to know what the record is. I used to care about the home run record. That's been ruined, so I don't care about that anymore. I don't know that there's a record in sport that I do care about.
I care about some numbers, but they're mostly like baseball because it's more of a stat-driven sport. You know, like 56-game hitting streak. You know, Ted Williams bat. You know, the 406 and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff. Like those are numbers that resonate with people.
They're exclusively baseball.
Right.
I don't know
I agree.
I think too, like this specific title is tied so much directly to Brady and kind of how offenses evolved over time. Where 2007 Pats, they just started throwing. I mean, now it's there's probably going to be somebody who throws for more yards that isn't even as good.
Absolutely, I'm glad you said that. We were just before I did the Rodney interview, we were down in KSP and they were talking. And someone goes, "So he's going to break the record tonight, and that'll never be broken." I said, "That'll be broken soon." And he goes, well, "Not in our lifetime." I said, "That'll be broken within the decade." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "These guys are all going to play into their 40s now. That you can't hit quarterbacks, so they're all going to be able to play." I'm not saying they're all going to play at Tom Brady's level to their mid-40s. You know, I'm not suggesting that he's not special in that regard. But a guy like Matthew Stafford can break that record. And Matthew Stafford is not 1/10 of the quarterback that Brady is.
There you go.
Like, don't you? I mean,
odds.
This guy. I mean, if Rodgers, what if Rodgers goes somewhere next year and gets rejuvenated? Like right now, he just looks like he's playing out the string. He doesn't have a lot of passion. If he gets rejuvenated and plays another 8-10 years, he's going to break that record.
I would think so, yeah. And you're right. It's
I mean, of course, Brady could still be playing and put that record away. But
yeah, right.
But I mean, where the record is right now, people will reach that. I don't know how long Brady's going to play. Maybe it'll be ridiculous if he plays to like 47, and maybe he puts it. Out of reach.
Well, what would it be if he started playing in 07 and his career actually spanned from 07 to 2027? I mean, it would be at 100,000 probably.
Well, that's why I say that these guys are going to break it. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes could break it.
We have more emails to get to. I want to get to George in Puerto Rico first, though. George, Patriots Pregame Show. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. Long time listening, first time caller.
Excellent. Thank you.
I got to tell you guys. Thank you. I got to tell you guys, Paul, Deuce, Harry, you guys do a great job. Then again, when Brady was here and we were winning Super Bowls, everybody was pumping up Josh McDaniels. He was the man. He was the beast. Then again, last couple of years, we didn't have that much talent, so it was because we didn't have talent. Now we spend all this money in free agency, and now it's the talent. But when we got to put the blame in Josh McDaniels, I stay put, listening to your feedback.
Well, thanks for the kind words, George.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Not sure Josh would agree. But I get the point, and he's right. I mean, this is going on 3 years now where there hasn't been a lot of production. I do think it's early. There were a lot of changes this year, a lot of new pieces, but they have to have results. It hasn't been good enough. They haven't put enough points on the board. It's been sloppy. And I think Josh is a great coach. I'm glad that Bill and Josh are here to kind of instill some things in Mac early in his career to hopefully set him up for success. But there's just no way to argue that they have to play better on offense. They have to start clicking. They have to start producing, or else things are going to change around here.
Joe in Osprey, Florida says, game plan for tonight. I believe the Pats should grab and hold and rough up any running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends early, even if they get penalized, get shots on Brady while he's holding the ball. He'll probably try and dump it off. But it's a way to attempt to get him rattled and or off his game. I would say that's fine, that's fast, that's loose, that's aggressive, except the Patriots, they can't afford to be playing they can't afford to be giving away first downs and giving up first downs. And if you're talking about It
sounds like he watched Super Bowl 36 and feels like that's
Pat's
the way to
roughed
go.
up Marshall Falk and Kurt Warner. I
can't
believe
do
that
that anymore.
that's exactly how he let
Yeah,
off.
and I agree. I understand, but it's just a different game, and those penalties are going to get called. They didn't get called that night.
Yeah, it's hard to play aggressive, tough-hitting defense these days.
They called the one that called back the Tabucky Jones fumble return. They probably could have called 10 others that they didn't.
Brad Hughes in New Brunswick has a nomination for a big regular season game that approaches this. Season finale 2007.
Yes. Yep,
sure.
that's a similar event.
Okay.
That's a similar event that it wasn't about
had
the
no
game.
no impact, right? Like
right.
just
It wasn't
16-0.
about the game's
They were already set.
impact. It was about the impact of the season that it was going to have. I agree. That's a game. That was an event that was similar to this. And if you remember, we talked about this on our show, Hardy. That game, I think, was broadcast by everybody but C-SPAN.
Right.
Like,
Right.
at the last minute, it was NFL Network. It
mentioned
was
that,
all
yeah.
the broadcasts. It was ESPN. It was everywhere. Everybody had it. And it was an incredible environment
I think
at the
what's
Meadowlands
what's
that night.
interesting, Paul, you're totally right about, really the game didn't really have any impact other than the Patriots getting a 16-0, but when they met in the Super Bowl, it did have an impact. Like
Right.
that
That's why I
experience
say if the
did have an
Patriots-
impact. It's kind of cool.
If the Patriots were to do something in this game that most people don't expect, I do think it could have a springboard kind of effect.
All right, let's grab Olivier here in Virginia before we get to our Sunday two-pack. What do you got for us, buddy?
Gentlemen, how are you?
How are you?
Getting nervous, really, to be honest.
Moment of truth.
Must be Sunday. Deuce is nervous.
It's kind of difficult, right? I mean, I see the guys wearing the wrong jersey.
Yeah, go change
I was
that.
hoping to see Belichick
Maybe.
wearing a number 12 as well, but no luck.
It would have been funny if Belichick came on the field with the 12 shirt on.
I guess I'm a Brady out right now, and I feel that everyone is betting against the Patriots, and usually when that happens, it's when the Patriots win. So I think we might see a surprise.
Well, that is what we're going to talk about next, Olivier. So thank you for getting us to our Sunday 6/2-pack.
This is the Sunday six-pack, so kick back and listen to the position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack. Don't get it mixed, Jack. I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday six-pack.
I'm going to leave plenty of time to get to this, even though there are only 2 games, because we have to go over the season totals so far and what happened last week. Go ahead, Morel.
Last week, Paul 4-2, Hardy 4-2, Mike 3-3.
So what are the season totals then?
That brings us to Hardy 13-5.
What?
Paul 10-8, Mike 9-9.
Feel free to go in the other order.
500 ball. Playing 500 ball.
It's a lot better than you're doing with the.
That's right. We don't need to bring that up.
The
Thanks, Paul.
all-around.
Okay, all right. Thanks, bye.
All right, so we only have 2 games to pick. We're going to start with the Monday night game first. Morel, who's playing? What's the line?
You have the 3-0 Las Vegas Raiders at the 2-1 Los Angeles Chargers. Las Vegas -3.
All right, I don't have to go
Good
first
game.
on any games this week because there are only 2 of them, but we keep the order.
Good divisional game here. Like the Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers, and I'll lay the points.
Paul.
So the Vegas is. You have Vegas by
sorry.
3 here,
Sorry,
right?
I'll take the points.
Yes.
I will pick Chargers.
Okay, I'm going to take the points as well. I'll take the Chargers.
Yeah, I think the Chargers win this game. Actually, I think Vegas is probably going to suffer a little bit under the first big spotlight that they are going to be under for this season. So I'm going to take the Chargers. We're all taking the Chargers on this one.
Going back to
That's
tonight.
a bad sign.
The 2-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 1-2 New England Patriots. Tampa -6.5.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this game at length. It's hard to come up with a way that the Patriots win this game without a lot of help from Tampa. I don't discount the chances. I'm not telling you that there's no possible way the Patriots can win the game. So I'm just trying to set that up because I don't really feel like getting chirped at like 2 in the morning. If the Patriots were to pull off the upset here. I just think Tampa has too much offensively. I think it's going to be too hard for Mac Jones and that offense based on what I've seen through 3 games. We'll see if it changes tonight. But they haven't played all good defenses, but they've been pretty much slowed down by all the defenses they've seen. I don't see them keeping up. I think the Buccaneers win this game 34-16, something in that neighborhood.
Okay. I am also taking the Buccaneers in this one, a very similar score. I have them down at 38-17. I think it's a big win for the Buccaneers tonight. The only thing that could change it is something loosening up in the fourth quarter. I just don't think they have it in them. I think Brady and the rest of his teammates are going to rally and make sure he gets this win tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Everything you've said, what we've seen from this Patriots team up to this point, what we've seen from this Bucs point, what we know about this Bucs team. I had the Bucs 31-17. I think the Patriots will put up a good fight, but they just don't have enough right now to compete with this kind of Super Bowl caliber team.
And I hope the lines are loaded when we walk in here for the post-game show with people blying us and telling us we're all wrong.
Well,
That'd
I just
be
hope
great.
the lines are loaded so I can stay awake.
Well, so that'll be great. We'll talk to you in the post-game show. Thank you to everybody involved in the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Dunkin. Enjoy the game. We will talk to you immediately afterward right here on Patriots.com.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.